Welcome to the Mitchell Pehlke Lacrosse Show presented by Duke Cannon. On today's episode, we're diving directly into the Outlaws' thrilling win versus the Whipsnakes, Michael Sowers' MVP performance, Joey Spallina going back to Syracuse, and an interview with Ryan Terefenko. The game of the weekend, in my opinion, was the Outlaws versus the Whips. It was a thriller that went down to the final seconds, but it didn't look like that early in the game. The Whips were up at half, 10-4 with the lead. What was working so well for the Whips offense early in that game, Kev?
Well, quite frankly, what was working for them was Logan McNaney in net. To be honest, Logan McNaney hasn't been himself the past 2 weeks or 3 games. I've never seen him benched, I thought, ever. Definitely not in 2 straight games, which we've seen the last 2 games for the Outlaws. After the game, Denver head coach Tim Sudan said there were some medical things and he wasn't quite right. So no, I'm not going to disclose what that may or may not be, but to me, I've seen enough Logan McNaney to know that what we've seen the last 3 games is not him. He's around 20%. There was a Joey Spallina 2-pointer off the bouncer that, no offense to Joey Spallina, but I think Logan McNaney scoops that up and sends it the other way with a clean save when he's himself. So do they move with Owen McElroy moving forward as a guy? He was great in relief the last couple of weeks. He was key to the turnaround and the comeback in this past game, but I'm still a Logan McNaney guy. I think he's just got to be honest with himself. Are you good to go? Are you communicating that to the team? It took until halftime of this game for us to realize that he wasn't giving his team the best chance to win, and they almost lost because of it. So it's up to McNaney and that communication.
Dukes, any thoughts there?
Yeah, dude. For any listeners out there, I heard.
Yeah, what's going on? What's going on?
There was a thunder where I thought that I was in the middle of an earthquake right now. For any YouTube watchers, this is why you go to YouTube. I just turned scared out of my mind. But going back to Logan McNaney, talking about scared out of their mind. It goes back longer than just 3 games. Honestly, when you really dive deep, 4 out of his last 5 games have been under 50%. And the thing that I talked about last week is I can't remember Logan McNaney not having a bounce back. And if there is a medical issue, I hope he gets right. I mean, we obviously want all our best players healthy, but I don't know how you put him in cage anymore. It's you got to go forward with McElroy. And for any MPLS listeners out there that remember last year, Hoagie was right. Hoagie was right. The biggest Owen McElroy fan of all time, James Hogan. He knew this from the get-go. He was like, hey, in a year and a half, Owen McElroy will get his glory back, and he'll get back in that cage. But yeah, I also think what went right is, honestly, all those goals were right on the doorstep.
Yeah.
Like, Joey Spallina had, 5 points in the first half? He looked unbelievable, but like Kev said, like, even that 2-pointer, I was like, does Joey have range? I tweeted, like, does Joey have range now? I didn't know he had that type of range. And I was like, nah, I just got shooting on Logan McNaney. So Whips offense looked good, a lot of goals on the doorstep, but yeah, the key in the second half, in my opinion, was just getting Logan McNaney the hell out of that game.
It's honestly crazy. Hoagie and I played against him in college. The career he was on in the trajectory of never getting benched, always having a good game, even to last year in the league. And then this year, obviously, like, Dukes and Kev just said some medical things. We hope in prayers that nothing's too crazy and serious. But, he's a guy that I feel like we could all confidently say would be in the league for a long time with his play. But Owen McElroy wasn't the only one to step up for Denver in that second half. Brendan O'Neill scored 6 points in the game, including 5 in the second half. What clicked for him so well on Saturday, Hoagie?
We've been waiting to see this version of Brendan O'Neill, I feel like, all season long in 2026 this year. And for the first time all season, it really felt like Brendan O'Neill truly took over a game. He looked completely unstoppable. Everyone knew he was getting the ball, but nobody could stop him. And honestly, it reminded me a lot of that game against the Archers back in Carolina in 2024 when he had that takeover game and then they won in overtime. But it was Brendan's best game of the year. He had a season-high 6 points, and it really felt like he finally was playing almost free in this offense, if that makes any sense. Like, they have so much offensive talent on this team with Pat Cavanaugh, Jared Bernhardt, Logan Wisnowski, as we talk about the Tuaraton 4-headed monster that they have. But it feels like kind of each week, like, the number one option seems to change. One week it's Brennan, 1 week it's Pat, 1 week it's Jared. And I feel like sometimes that kind of boggles up this offense. And in a week like this where it was Brennan's the clear number one guy with Jared out, with Pat out, he's the guy, go take over. Brennan did that. So to me, like, Brennan had no choice this weekend but to be the number one guy and the clear focal point of this team, and he did that. He had his best game all year. He struggled a lot shooting the ball this year. He's been great as a feeder all season long, but the shots kind of weren't falling, and they finally fell this weekend for him. But it's going to be interesting now moving forward and what this kind of means for the future of this Denver team. This is a team that is at its best, in my opinion, when Brennan O'Neill is the clear number one option. And you had a guy like Dalton Young who stepped up as starting an attack this weekend, had a huge game, 5 goals, and he fit really well in that offense. So we talked about it a lot. The Outlaws have a lot of star power on this team, and they are not going to be able to retain and keep everyone on this roster next year. Heading into 2027, they may have to let Pat Cavanaugh go. They may have to let Jared Bernhardt go if you want to be able to keep the core guys together like JT Giles-Harris, like Ryan Terefenko, Jake Pacino, etc. So a really interesting offseason for the Outlaws coming up. They got a huge win this weekend to save their season and keep it moving forward, but Brennan O'Neill, as that clear number one guy, I think the Outlaws are at their best when he's the number one option.
So, Hoagie, if Brennan O'Neill's the number one guy, the clear number one guy, and you're looking at free agency next year for the Outlaws, and you maybe have to let someone go, you can only re-sign one guy, we'll say, Pat Cavanaugh or Jared Bernhardt, who are you keeping?
Wow, that's a really tough question. And, I mean, you could go either way on that. In my opinion, I would keep Jared Bernhardt over Pat Cavanaugh and let Pat Cavanaugh walk in this situation. It's not a Pat Cavanaugh versus Jared Bernhardt thing. It's more, I think Jared Bernhardt's versatility to run out of the midfield, to me, is a strength that I think this team can have. I think you can run Dalton Young, Logan Wisnauskas, and Brennan O'Neill down at attack. You can run Jared down at attack if you want, but I think the versatility that Jared builds as a midfielder to be able to switch it out of the offense, I think is key and something I really like about this Outlaws team. We'll see what Pat Cavanaugh ends up doing. I wouldn't be shocked if he ended up in California as kind of that one piece that they're missing to go chase a championship. But if you're asking me of those two guys, which guy I'm going to take Jared Bernhardt because of his versatility to play both spots.
Dukes.
It's the wrong answer.
That same question. That same question. What's your answer?
It's the wrong answer. It's the wrong answer. It's Pat Cavanaugh.
Talk to us. Talk
He's
to
the
us.
clear quarterback of that offense, in my opinion. Hoagie keeps talking about, like, the number one option changes week over week. The number one option every week is Brennan O'Neill. The quarterback of that offense is Pat Cavanaugh. Jared Bernhardt not here to say that, like, I'm saying Pat Cavanaugh is a better lacrosse player for than Jared Bernhardt, but I think he's a better fit in this offense alongside Brennan O'Neill. The relationship that Brennan O'Neill and Pat Cavanaugh have goes deep, too. They're like two best friends at this point. Like, if you ask either of them, I mean, it goes back to last season. They go on vacations together. They travel to Utah. They stay out there for a week. So, I mean, if you even ask Brendan O'Neill, I would say that he probably would want to keep Pat Cav. So, I think at some point you also have to make your star happy. So, I'm choosing Pat Cav in that situation.
Yeah, but do you want to? What goes deeper, his relationship with Brennan or his relationship with his own blood and his brother Chris Cav? Because I think if you're going to ask him, do you want to play with your brother more or Brennan O'Neill? I think he's going to take Chris Cav.
If you want me my real take, I think that the real situation to look out for is Chris Cav coming to the Outlaws.
Ooh. Well, in that case, Jared Bernhardt would have to go, right?
Yeah.
That's just too many cooks.
Yeah.
My thing too is, like, you say Brennan O'Neill's the number one option, right, Dukes? But then Pat Cavanaugh's the quarterback. Can you be the quarterback but not the number one option?
100%.
Like,
Yeah.
do you, like, to me, like, I feel like that's my issue when I say, like, Brennan being the number one guy is that when Pat is the quarterback and you have a quarterback and someone else that's kind of the quarterback, it disrupts the whole rhythm of the offense. When you have a guy like Dalton Young who's clearly knows his role as, I'm not one of the top options on this team. I'm a role player, and I'm going to make the most of every opportunity I get. I think sometimes it flows. Logan Wisnauskas, same kind of thing. His job is to finish the ball inside. So when you have too many guys like Brennan and Jared and Pat sometimes who all are kind of in that alpha type role, we see it in the NBA
Totally
sometimes.
disagree.
It doesn't always work.
We've seen the Brennan O'Neill, Jared Bernhardt lineup earlier this season, and they did not look like the same Outlaws team from last year. Pat Cav came in. They won some games. This game yesterday was awesome. Hoagie, if Dalton Young scores 5 goals every game shooting 70% plus, get rid of Pat Cavanaugh because you have the next CJ Kirst.
The point is not get rid of Pat Cavanaugh. It's just
No,
like,
I know, but I'm saying
Yeah.
we're talking about like Dalton Young and who's great and like him, like the relationship that they have all together. Like Dalton Young seems like the best locker room guy potentially in the league. But my point is, how many games is he going to shoot 70%? and have 5 goals. Like,
No, I agree. That's not going to happen week after week, most likely. The point is more just we saw it work last year. We saw it work in flashes this year. But to be honest, the team has not clicked this entire season long. Each week it's 1 week Pat's the main guy, 1 week Jared's the main guy. And it's changed so much that is the team better moving forward when they don't have as much alpha type 1A players and you just say, hey, this is Brendan O'Neill and this is Jared Bernhardt, and let's surround them with Wisnowski's, Dalton Young's, guys who just finish and know their roles. Will that be better ultimately than having 3 to 4 alpha type players who want the rock, who need the rock, and want to play in the offense? That's just the point I'm trying to bring up, is which offense or which team is better moving forward, because I think we see a lot of times in sports, it's not always just make the super team that has success. It's you have the 1 alpha, you have the 1B alpha, and then you fit it with a ton of great pieces around it. And those are usually the teams that end up winning championships.
I mean, I agree. This is a tough argument for me to make because I agree with what you're saying. Like the 76ers for the basketball comp, it's a lot of guys that have like high usage ratings. So I could see that with the Denver, like the fit when it comes together. Sometimes you need those guys to play complementary basketball or complementary lacrosse. I think in this offense, Pat Cav makes more sense than Jared Bernhardt. And I don't know how many times this year really Jared Bernhardt's been the number 1 option.
No, that's a fair point to say, but I feel like when Jared is on the field, I feel like you can see the way he handles the ball, like especially out of the box, or he'll take it behind an X. Like he's looking to be an alpha and insert himself in this offense. I think obviously the comeback was great too, going off. We talked about a little bit earlier with Owen McElroy coming in as well, but I think it was a little demoralizing for the Whips down the stretch there of like Luke Weirman winning every faceoff, not having a faceoff guy. Like you knew every possession, like, oh, they're getting the ball. Like once they go on that run, it was like, okay, now it's down to 4, now it's down to 3. It's like the Outlaws are just getting the ball afterwards. And even if that Ryan Terefenko goal didn't end up counting at the end of that game, like say it went to overtime, like you're a Whipsnakes team, you're like, we have to get 1 stop in order to even have a chance this game. And that just gets demoralizing as the game goes on. And that could have been a different result if Peter LaSalle was healthy and playing this game for sure.
You know, we talk about that last second goal. I mean, it's pretty interesting. Having a Buckeye shoot it in the stadium, baby. That's going to roll into our Duke Cannon Work Harder, Smell Better moment of the week, baby. Obviously, Brendan was electric. We just talked about that. But this play in particular is going to a Buckeye. Ryan Terefenko scoring the game-winning goal in the last couple seconds. What a game, what a goal, and obviously what a moment for him. Hoagie, he was our captain, he was our leader, and then going back to the stadium, putting one in to obviously secure a massive win for a team that was down by 6 at half, and then ultimately clinching it. When you guys first saw that goal, natural reaction, did you think it went in or no?
Not on first look. I mean, and here I am, no replay guy. But replay was really the reason why the Outlaws won that game. However, it's a problem that was caused by the solution. Like, I mean, it hit the net cam. How many times do we see that? The net cam is positioned in that bottom corner. So if you stick a bottom corner, sometimes that's coming right back out. Now, we're lucky enough that happened in the final seconds of the game, so they're going to take a look at it. But how many of those happen just, through the course of the flow of the game? And how often do you get a great net cam view that is worth anything other than a replay review? So to me, it's just creating replay reviews by existing.
Kev, it's switching our mindset a little bit.
What's going on with the Gilman goals? We've been getting – I don't remember getting pipes like this in the old days with the old goals before the Gilmans. Similar to the Bridget Duffy goal we saw, Kev, a couple weeks ago in the Charm that got overturned. Similar kind of thing where it looks like it's a pipe, but it went in and hit that piece in the bottom corner that's in the goal but then pulls out. So 2 goals in the last couple weeks in the PLL and WLL that are just bouncing off of corners. But, yeah, it is interesting how many of those goals rattle off. I even think like the Holman goal that we obviously know went in that hit 4 pipes a couple weeks ago in Chicago. So those Gilman goals got some bounce when you hit the pipe.
It's kind of one of those things that I feel like when Gilman goals first hit the scene, you're like, dude, these are sick. But now you're hitting like the middle of the goal and it's sounding like you just Paul Rabeled the corner. Quickly, are we in favor of Gilman goals or not?
That was our caller, Johnny Rocket, who said he said that they're participation trophies.
Yes. You like Gilman goals though, Dukes, huh?
Yeah, because I suck at lacrosse. Like,
you know what I am?
When you're just shooting in the backyard, like any good lacrosse players, like I could actually hit the corner, but like you're 28, washed up, a little bit fat, overweight. You're just shooting with the boys, and you hit middle of the cage, and it sounds like you're, again, Paul Rabel. Like, yeah, hits the ego a little bit different.
I love the Gilman goals. Don't get me wrong, big fan of them. But I am team goal mic, like championship weekend with the thump sound over a Gilman goal sound. I love the championship weekend when you hear the mics and it's just like the thump right on a sick goal. Like, I'll take that over Gilman goal all day.
Regardless of the Gilman goal or the thump, the cameras in the corner, they gotta go if they're blocking goals. You know, like you should be able to stick a corner and it be clear that you stuck a corner.
Give me the breakdown. Why are we not putting the camera where Hoagie just talked about it, where it is in the Final Four, just inside the net deep?
Because you got to see the goal line, Mitch, for reviews. That's why it's kind of there. Like, that's so that you can see the ball crossing. Because if you put it in the middle, you'd have no way to see if it went over the line with the line or not.
I will say, Kev makes a good point that they're just causing replay reviews.
Yeah.
But if you ask me what the PLL has reviewed the most, where I feel like I've seen this camera angle more than anything, it is the end line goal, trying to see if a ball got over the line or didn't. I feel like that happens once a week in the PLL.
Yeah, you see that cam. Yeah, that's true. Well, I think as Kevin and I have said plenty of times, we are non-replay guys, and this is just a conversation that's going to continue to be more happening about. So we will see. But ultimately, with technology continuing to get better, this is going to be more of our job to continue to talk about it. So
going back to the Terry goal really quick, one concern I had, was that the best moment in Buckeye lacrosse history on that field?
No, probably the Rutgers clip was.
Wait, no, seriously, on that field specifically, it might be.
Yeah.
I don't think we've ever had it. I don't think as.
Oh, they hosted. No, you're right. You guys did host an NCAA lacrosse game there.
Now, Big Ten champs. Was that there?
Well,
No.
Michigan's was. Michigan's was
lost
at
to Michigan.
Columbus.
You guys lost to Michigan on that field.
We beat
Michigan,
the team
your rival.
at the team at North's house.
Your rival. You lost it.
We took
that.
Honestly,
steamer
before
on
that,
the
Mitch,
field.
the
The
best
Big Ten
moment
championship.
there might have been the win we had over North Carolina our senior year.
Well, what about when you guys hosted the NCAA lacrosse game last year?
I mean, that was great, but it didn't go our way.
Oh, great.
I can't wait for this Terry interview with Dukes. You just know there's a couple jabs.
Dukes isn't
I'm
going
not
to
going
be
to be
on.
there.
Oh, let's go. Clap it up. So we're giving you guys a little insight. Again, stay tuned for the interview with Ryan Terefenko later in this episode. Thankfully, Dukes has another baptism that he has to go to. This guy.
He heard, he heard there was a Buckeye on, and he leaves.
And he
If
starts
there's an
running.
Ohio State player or a Syracuse player, Dukes is
The
gone.
amount of times we wanted to have Nick Myers on this episode and Dukes has conflicts is crazy, but we can move on. The Outlaws obviously bounce back.
I pointed the thumb. I pointed the thumb, by the way. I want the viewers. They're like, should we get Nick Myers on? And I said, that would be disrespectful to have Nick Myers on if I'm not going to be there.
That's true.
I want the smoke.
Yes, I think you two would be great. Honestly, Nick Myers would be hilarious on the pod. We will get
7
him on.
good minutes with Nick Myers and Dukes, Mitch. 7 good minutes.
Crazy. All right, let's keep it going. The Outlaws bounced back after going winless in their doubleheader last week, and the Waterdogs won their third straight, beating the Chaos 13-6 and clinching a little playoff spot in the process. Sean Byrne made 11 saves and stopped 73.3% of the shots he saw. What do you guys think should be the goalie for the Waterdogs in the postseason? Hoagie, I'll start with you.
I said it last week. I think it should be Sean Byrne. I think you want to see what type of top-end talent you have at a goalie like him. He's 3-0 as a starter right now. Back-to-back really solid games for the rookie. 68% with 15 saves against the Outlaws on Saturday Night Lacrosse last week. And then comes up this week in Columbus, 73% with 11 saves against the Chaos, Mitch. But my only question with Sean Byrne is he hasn't been challenged in pressure and late-game situations yet, which is a concern to me. The 2 games, he's had an amazing game the last 2 weeks, but those have been blowout wins by this Waterdogs team. We don't know what he looks like yet when, the lights are really bright and it's a tie game in the fourth quarter. We saw him make that save against the Atlas, a couple weeks back, so we've seen it a little bit. But the pressure's ramped up down the stretch when the games are really meaning a lot. But, I mean, if you're asking me, Sean Byrne, he's showing a lot of promise to me. If he stays hot like this, I don't see how if you're Bill Tierney, you can take him out and not ride the hot hand, because I think that does mess with mojo sometimes. You feel good. The team's on a hot streak. You switch back to DeLuca, that can derail some things and change some things. So, to me, I'm riding with Sean Byrne. I know Dukes and Kev last week were high on riding with DeLuca, but I think Byrne, I want to see what he's got. I think he showed me promise so far. Let him ride.
Yeah, I
This
know
is
we
news to
talked
me, by
about
the way.
this. What's up?
This is news. This is news to me that Hoagie was big on Sean Byrne last week.
You know how he goes.
I mean, we did talk about this last week, and I'm not changing my opinion based off of a blowout win where the Chaos didn't even get off the bus. So the Chaos only had one goal at halftime of this game, and I don't think it was because Sean Byrne was playing particularly great. He was making the saves, but it had more to do with Carolina just not showing up. And I want to remind that Sean Byrne's not really guaranteed to be a long-term option beyond this year because of his military obligations. You know, I'm open to seeing how hot his hand gets. I believe in riding the hot hand. He's playing really well, but I also think you got to show DeLuca some respect as the guy that they chose to build around when they shipped off Dylan Ward this year. So if I'm Bill Tierney, I'm not trying to flip-flop every year, every mid-year in the past game to game on my goalie. I'm trying to make a decision and move with it. So DeLuca's still my guy.
I agree with both of you about this. I mean, it really depends when DeLuca gets healthy. Don't think if you're out for 5 weeks, which could be really like 6 weeks if you go into the bye and then expect him to start a playoff game. I mean, this is professional like lacrosse. You're seeing balls flying at your face, pause, at like 100 miles per hour. So I think also a thing with
Clip
Sean
it.
Byrne, Kev. I think a thing with Sean Byrne is he's not a long-term option, but that's also part of the reason why they got him. Is because they're like, look, we need a guy that we believe could win a championship for us this year if DeLuca's not at his top spot. So, yeah, I think it's a combination of when does DeLuca get healthy? How hot does Sean Byrne get down the stretch? If they're winning games and you go into the playoffs undefeated with Sean Byrne, yeah, how do you take him out? I think there is a mojo thing. So, it would suck for DeLuca, too, because I think last year rolling into the playoffs, they rolled with Dylan Ward, and he was playing some good ball. So, I feel tough for him, but, yeah. Got to roll with that hot hand if Sean Byrne keeps this going. But and one more point. You're totally right, too, about the blowout factor in the past 2 games. Because in the second half, then it's just guys taking shots that they normally wouldn't take. It doesn't get good offense. You're shooting way more 2-pointers.
100%.
So there is a combination of everything going to play here.
Well, it's probably not the only controversy in Philly because lately, do you guys still think CJ Kirst is the Philly MVP? I mean, Michael Sowers has been blowing it out recently. Are we still having the hot hand for number 15, Dukes?
CJ Kirst stays the best lacrosse player in the world.
Okay.
But I've always kind of thought that Michael Sowers is the MVP of this team. Again, I know that like this podcast defers to it, but I'm way more of a guy that I appreciate quarterbacks in lacrosse. I appreciate guys that find their teammates. I like assist guys that generate offense. Michael Sowers is arguably the best at that in the world. Like CJ, for how good he is when he scores 5-6 goals a game, which he's done 8 times it feels like this year. He's had 2 games now where he's had 1 goal. And we talk about high floors on this podcast. I need a guy that, if he's not filling up the back of the net, he's creating offense with assists, finding his teammates, doing something like that. So it's Michael Sowers for me. He's only had 1 game below 3 points this year, and it was week 2 without CJ Kirst. Had, 5 points yesterday. He's consistently getting 3, 4, 5. It's every single week. He's so consistent. So we talk about this with goalies. Same should be true for attackmen.
Dukes, to me, the 1-goal performance against the Archers where they got a blowout loss is different than a 1-goal performance in a blowout win. I don't think anyone had an MVP moment in this game about MVP moments. I think, honestly, the Waterdogs could have sat either Sowers or Kirst, maybe even both in this game and still won. As far as like the matchup on the field, Kirst drew Jared Newman. That's his specialty, is shutting down the big physical lefty, and Sowers got to cook against Scott Smith with Jack Rowlett out. So that's just the way it kind of shook out in this particular game. I will say, though, I did unfairly minimize Sowers' impact earlier in the season. I will admit he's definitely a duo with CJ Kirst. I was kind of separating the two of them before. CJ Kirst and Michael Sowers are a duo. They're the best duo in the league. I will concede that much.
Thank you.
And Sowers is playing incredible. 41 points, tied his career high, leading the league. Only guy with 20 goals, 20 assists. But again, I want to see those MVP moments. They've both had them. Sowers got that game winner against the Atlas last weekend in Denver. Kirst had that game icing goal against the Redwoods in Chicago. To me, overall, at the end of the day, when I'm going up against this team, my game plan starts with stopping CJ Kirst. And that's going to open up things for Michael Sowers. Honestly, look at it a lot the way the Atlas were last year. I think a lot of teams' game plan was to shut down Jeff Teat, and that allowed Connor Schellenberger to have an MVP season. So I wouldn't be surprised if Michael Sowers does win the MVP this year because of the way things are going. But to me, it's still CJ Kirst, especially when I'm looking at the game plan if I'm an opposing coach.
One more point to go off of with the Michael Sowers. Arguably his MVP moment yesterday was tripping Scott Smith up at X, finding Jack Hanna on the backside. That was awesome. And not to minimize Michael Sowers, but this time last year, you could make the argument that he was rolling into the last 2 weeks of the season as the MVP frontrunner. So this isn't like a Connor Schellenberger opened up for him. Michael Sowers has been a top 3 in MVP for the last 3 or 4 years.
Yes. Yeah, no, that's true. Again,
Sorry.
not trying
Maybe
to be a
I'm
Michael Sowers hater at all.
Maybe I'm a homer. I might be the homer. You might be the hater. But I appreciate you conceding that point.
Yeah, no, I mean, that was a little crazy of me to say they're not even, I think I compared him to Ryan Goldstein.
Look,
I was like,
as a guy that can get crazy on the
control.
mic, we can get a little crazy on the mics.
Yeah, and dudes,
Hoagie,
you're never
Hoagie,
wrong. You're just early, man.
Never wrong, just
same
early.
with,
Hoagie, I want
same
to
with
get you
Hoagie,
involved
though.
here.
Oh, and McElroy.
Yeah.
Hoagie, what are your thoughts on the Sitchy? What side do you land on?
Yeah, I think it's very interesting. I mean, Sowers is on pace this year to have the most points he's ever had in his career. And like Duke said, I think he's been knocking on an MVP, and he's going to get one eventually one of these years, however it falls. It feels like he's been right there, and then either, the Waterdogs have a little rough stretch and he kind of slides down, or he's got an injury in the past and it kind of derails him. But I feel like for the most part of the last couple seasons, so it's been Michael Sowers right up there in the front of the MVP race. But yeah, I'm with Kev there. I think he made a great point at the end of CJ Kirst is the one who all these teams first thought is, how do we take CJ Kirst out of this game? That's the game plan each week. I understand he had one goal this week, but I don't really look too deep into that. CJ Kirst is a pure goal scorer machine. Like Duke said, Michael Sowers is the quarterback. So Michael Sowers, in his off day, is getting probably 2-3 assists, even if he's going 0 goals, 3 assists. So to say CJ Kirst only had one goal, his job is not feeding. He's not getting 3 assists each game. It's as a pure goal scorer. So you have a guy like Jared Newman on him. Sometimes you're not going to have a ton amount of games. If you win the game, that's all that matters. So I still lean for CJ Kirst. We talk about no one having an MVP moment. To me, that CJ Kirst game in Chicago was the MVP moment up to now. That can change over the next couple weeks, but I mean, to take that ball out with 6 seconds on the shot clock, everyone in that building knew it's CJ Kirst going to the goal, splits 2 defenders, seals the game for Philly. To me, that's the MVP moment right now. CJ Kirst is still my MVP right now. But yeah, Michael Sowers definitely inserting himself in the conversation for sure down the line. Would you guys say Michael Sowers or CJ Kirst wins the MVP or the field? What are you taking?
Wow.
I would take Michael Sowers or CJ Kirst.
So would I.
Still feel
Mitch?
confidently in that.
Lock in
I don't
MVP.
think so.
It would either be Sowers or Kirst or the field, Mitch, meaning anyone else.
Yeah, I think Sowers or Sowers.
One of those
or
two,
Kirst.
you think?
100%. Yeah.
Who would your MVP be, though, right now?
I think Kirst.
Yeah.
Do you
Kirst.
think there's anyone other than Dobson? When we say field, is it just Brett Dobson?
I mean, look, I'm a storylines guy, and I don't know who makes the calls at the league, but I kind of like Dobson to go, did it in the NLL, going to do it in the PLL historical year.
Same.
I like that. But again, I don't know who makes the calls.
Is there not a guy on the Cannons who should be involved in this conversation, Mitch?
I have one that no one's saying,
Who?
and I don't think it. Joey Spallina.
That would
He's crazy.
Joey Spallina
just skips
goes
right
from-
over Rookie of the Year, skips over Tuarton, just PLL
What do you mean
MVP.
you have a guy but you don't feel it? What does that mean?
He's quietly averaging 4 points a game, which would put them right behind CJ Kirst and Michael Sowers. What Joey does so well, and I think Keegs might have tweeted this, but it's so hard to give him a pro comp, because I think Joey right now, what's making him so effective in the pros is I don't think he's a top 2 option for the Whipsnakes. It's more what he's doing off ball for them and the different ways that he can kind of attack the offense. And that's what we kind of talked about all year long, is that he's not 1A, 1B, but it's guys finding him instead. and he's being so effective finding the back of the net. Getting 1 to 2 assists a game. It's all just very quiet. Like I've kind of talked about the MVP moments. Joey's not. He's been very productive without a lot of flashiness. So
crazy
it would be like.
I don't know how that would. I'm looking at the stats right now.
It would be like an NBA MVP going to like. I'm not going to say that. That'd be so disrespectful. But like, it would be like.
How is that? Is this more of a publicity stunt? Because I'm looking at the stats right now, points wise. Joey is in 5th. Then you have Connor Fields and Colter Mackesy tied at 3rd with 33. CJ Kirst at 34. Then you have Michael Sowers at 41. Mm-hmm. And Joey's not even on top 5 for goals or 2-pointers.
I have this question for you, Dukes. Is Joey's MVP case way better or higher up if he's on the Archers right now? As
it's way worse.
It's worse.
Yeah.
Worse.
I don't think he's. I've said this from the get-go. The perfect landing spot for him was the Whipsnakes.
No, I'm saying I'm put that aside. I'm saying if he had the same amount of stats he has right now, he's on the Utah Archers as probably the clear number 1 guy or more of the number 1 guy. It's hard to have him in that MVP talk when you have Malone, you have Rob Pennell, and the rest of the guys like you mentioned, Dukes. How are you an MVP when you're maybe the 3rd option on that offense? If he was on Utah, lighting it up, same amount of points right now on a team towards the top of the league, I think the noise would be a lot louder for Joey Spallina as MVP than it would be right now with him on the Whips.
It's tough for me to, I guess, yeah, but to push back on your point there, because I don't think it's just, like, as transitive as that. Like, the Archers are so much deeper than the Whipsnakes. Like, even a player like Aiden Carroll, who had a sick goal, by the way, this weekend, like, his production has gone down since Joey got inserted into this lineup. The Whipsnakes remind me of the Redwoods last year, where they got all their production from their attack, where the Archers have, like, Trey Leclerc, who's arguably midfielder of the year, Ryan Steins, Connor Fields. Like, they just, in my opinion, are just more of a family eats offense this year. So Joey's total would go down, naturally. But I guess if you're just saying point-wise, and he's on the Archers, who are number 1 in the West,
I also don't think there would be anything different about the Archers' defense and Brett Dobson, and I don't see how he would overshadow Brett Dobson for MVP. So I don't think he would even be in the conversation for MVP of his own team because of Brett Dobson.
I agree with that, too.
One other name I got to throw in there, just because I think Brendan O'Neill, I know he's not had the best season, but if he plays the way he did, that was an MVP moment, which not a lot of the guys that we're talking about have had those clear, defined moments. If he does it for 2 more games, drags Denver into the playoffs, and is clearly that guy who's fueling the run, I think Brendan O'Neill deserves some MVP consideration. I don't think he'd win it, but he would be, what do you need, 4 nominees? He'd probably be a 4th guy I'd put in there.
Okay.
Could be crazy.
Before we move on,
you mentioned.
Before we move on.
You see Joey going from
Mitch, this is his podcast now.
A PLL MVP, Mitch, to a Tuaraton in 2027. That would be a first off crazy to watch.
Yeah, we'll stay tuned to that. Yeah, stay tuned to that. We got more. We're really gonna unpack that later in the episode. Before we go, give me your 1 MVP pick for this season, PLL. Hoagie, start with you. Go.
CJ Kirst.
CJ Kirst.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the Waterdogs.
Yeah.
Dukes.
I've been on the train.
Dukes.
I'll go off. I mean, I was stuck up for Sowers, so I'll do Sowers.
Okay. All right. We've talked about CJ. We've talked
Yeah.
about Sowers. Last week, we went back and forth on Brett
It's
Dobson.
CJ Kirst.
This guy.
Mitch, this guy.
Peer pressure. This guy.
This guy. He goes, it's the Waterdogs. Nah, it's CJ Kirst.
Right? Like, I mean, like, if he just shatters the goals record, like, it's got to be him, right?
Well, what about a guy on Boston by the name of Colter Mackesy, putting up 5 points on Dauber and the Archers in a win on Friday night? He's 3rd in the league in points. Brian Holman said in the halftime interview that the Cannons don't have a dominant all-world type attackman. Is he one of the most underrated players in the league right now, Kev?
First of all, I thought that was kind of crazy of Brian Holman to say that at halftime.
Yes.
But whatever, his team won, and they play together as a team. Colter Mackesy, don't think he's MVP material. Honestly, I think Andrew McMeekin probably is the most valuable player on their team right now. But one thing Colter Mackesy has unlocked that's been super valuable is his 2-point range this year. Cannons lead the league with 11 2-pointers. Mackesy has 3 of them. He only took 4 2-point shots last year. So far, he's got 10 this year. Mackesy plus Marcus Holman, 7 2-pointers on the season. That's such an advantage to have your 2 wing attackmen, just that range to hit from 2. And then also one thing I'll say about Colter Mackesy, I think he might be the savviest American in the league in the 2-man game. What he does from the high lefty wing, working off picks, largely from Graydon Hogg, and he can stretch it from 2. I can't think of an American attackman who's more dangerous in that space.
Love it. And it was a little bit risky with Brian saying that at halftime, probably fueled the boys up. What about our boy Dauber, though? What about our boy Dauber just giving it to a guy right in the neck, the little scuffle? Dukes, I'll start with you because I feel like if any of us would have gotten into a fight, it'd probably be you. Are we on Dauber's side or not on Dauber's side? I think with what he's doing in the scuffle, it's a little bit interesting. But I think, look, if I'm a goalie, I'm protecting my crease. I might do the same thing.
Nestler would be way more passionate about this than I could be. Nestler, if anybody ever listened to the crease dive with him, you know how big of a scumbag he could be in the cage. But
100%.
I think you have to protect your crease.
Yeah.
And Dobson had to send the message. Did he take it too far? Probably. No doubt about that. I mean, just watch the clip. But I think that you have to take it too far to send a message like, hey, if you do come in my crease, this is what happens. I also think it's the Archer's identity. Like, you're tough, blue-collar, Canadian, grit defense.
Yep.
Who
Sandpaper.
live by don't touch our goalie. So if you touch the goalie, this is what happened. Like, it would have been weird if the Archers, Brett Dobson, didn't respond like that. Again, too far, probably. But I think that how do you get the message across? And, Canadian scumbags. Right, Dobson?
Yeah, this game was out of hand. This game was out of hand when it happened.
Yep.
It was 8-4, 2 minutes left in the third quarter. Look, if this is a close game and that 3-minute penalty ends up deciding the game, then yeah, maybe. I think, like what Duke says, it's obviously a penalty. It's obviously too far.
Yeah.
But that was to Brian Kelly, who is virtually a rookie. Let him know. Send that message. Other guys around the league kind of know that. Zach Geddes got it last year, if you remember, from Dobson getting in his face. That was a shot at him after the whistle blew. Yeah. But I think that those messages are not for that game. It's so the rest of the league knows you don't go in Dobson's crease. And it didn't really impact the outcome of that game. It was over by then.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah, I'm all for protecting the crease, and I think you need to protect the crease at all costs, 100%. If you're Dauber, like, no one gets in my crease, send a message. But at the same time, Brian Kelly, what do you want the guy to do? Warren Jeffrey shoved him in the back right into Dauber. Brian Kelly was trying to avoid Dauber. It's not like Brian Kelly was coming off the end line and tried to do like a dive and ended in the goal mouth. Like,
no, it was Brian Kelly. Both Kellys got their helmets ripped off.
Kelly's at the end.
But Brian Kelly is Warren Jeffrey, as clear as can be in the back, shoves him into Dauber. So I'm fine if you want to give him a little shove and say, don't come in my crease. But, like, to do the back check on the neck, rip 5 helmets off, Brian Kelly after the play was like, what did I do? Like, I literally just got shoved into you. Like, I'm trying, if you watch the replay, trying to avoid him.
That Dauber shaft right to the neck just had to hurt.
Brian
so
Kelly,
bad.
that's your Duke's.
That's what I felt. That's what I felt.
Duke's talks about your welcome to the PLL moment. Brian Kelly, welcome to the PLL moment. Right there. I mean,
he's thinking twice about making a move to the crease after that, I'm sure.
Kev, were you responsible for that, by the way? TLN, I think, posted the Dauber getting hit with the shot earlier the week. Do you think Dauber saw that on socials? I'm pretty sure that got posted early in the week, didn't it, Kev?
Possibly. Dobson getting hit with the shot?
With the shot when Dauber they shot after the whistle that you just mentioned.
Oh, yeah, that was on TLN. We did just.
Did Dauber see that this week? On socials, it was like, oh God, if something happens again, and then this happens this
Gotta
week.
let him know. I know, it was top of mind. I just brought it up.
I told Dobson, I was like, at the Olympics, I'm going to tell the Americans, just like dive in the crease. Get Dobson
exactly.
You know what?
fired
For
up.
Dauber, though,
I'll take Dobson. If I'm playing against Dobson, I want him off the field as much as possible. So if he's going to take a 3-minute penalty in the Olympics,
not a bad idea.
do it.
And I don't blame Dauber there too. Like they were getting kind of blown out that whole game. if anything, like Kev said, it's kind of a lost game. Maybe that's what flips the game. You know, I'll take my 3-minute penalty, ruffle some feathers. Maybe they get in a shell. Maybe that flips our Archers team. If not, we're losing anyway. So go for it. I liked it. It was that was one of the best fights, or whatever you want to call it, scuffles.
Look, that's what Ohio breeds, just gritty, blue-collar fights. Hoagie and I were in a ton back in the day in practice. You know, we took the helmet off. Just with Dauber, do you see how he just got his gloves, had his gloves right in the face mask and said, I own you now. You can drag him wherever. I used to do that back in the day.
Mitch, one more question.
Let's keep the podcast going.
Is Dauber on your top 5? I do not want to get in a scuffle with that guy. Or, like, if I need someone to back me up, yeah. We always talk about Jeff Henrik, Mitch, as your number 1 guy who, if you need somebody.
Any Canadian, if you get into a fight with the Canadian, you better say your prayers because you're going to leave with a couple less teeth.
We talk about hotbeds for lacrosse. We talk about hotbeds for lacrosse, right?
Yep.
Which hotbed in lacrosse do you think would have the best fighters?
What part of Canada are we talking?
Yeah,
let's go. No Peterborough.
I'm going to start.
No
I'm going to give
Canada.
you guys a no Canada.
What?
No Canada.
That's number 1.
I mean, when we talk about hotbeds for lacrosse, none of you ever say Canada.
No, number 1 for fighting.
I'm going to give you a start bench cut real quick, Dukes. Long Island, Baltimore, or let's do Northern New Jersey. Best fighters.
Start Long Island, bench North Jersey, cut Baltimore.
I actually agree with that. I don't think Maryland's good fighters.
That's based off experience, too.
Who are you fighting at the club level at Dayton?
Baltimore kids, I always thought were so soft. 6 stick skills. Defenses did not know how to play defense. Not tough, not gritty. Long Island and Jersey just breeds a couple of badasses.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think it's just a different brand of ball. It's just a different brand of ball.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
We just had who was just on that was talking about it.
Rob.
Yeah, we're talking about the stick skills, going to camps back in the day. And I hate to say it, again, I'm a Northern Virginia guy. I live in Maryland now, but I'm the first guy to run from a fight, I'll be honest. I'm not in a scuffle. I'm not in a scuffle. And I feel like you guys can kind of see that as well.
Mitch, so Dauber rips my helmet off at War at the Shore. You're not getting in there. You're just running the other way.
No, he's filming it. He's trying to
getting
get it.
RJ
He's interviewing Dobson after.
Again, remember, don't forget RJ Kaminsky player comp. It's criminal, but it could be true. Could be true. I love that. All right, let's keep it rolling. Duke Cannon makes high-quality grooming goods that keep you dialed in. At work, at the gym, at the field, whether you're grinding through the day or running to your late-night lacrosse league, their products are built to keep up. Use code PLL2026 at DukeCannon.com for 15% off your order. Or find Duke Cannon grooming goods at Target, Walmart, or even on Amazon. And the Redwoods blew out the Atlas, scoring literally the most points in a PLL regular season game in history. New York now has a 0.01% chance of making the playoffs and a 93% chance of having the first overall pick this spring. So the real question is, also fun fact, there's no Dukes on the screen. He had to leave mid-episode for another baptism. This guy is a family man. You got to let him do his thing. But for us two, or for us three, who would you guys take first overall if you were the Atlas head coach or GM? Hoagie, I'll start with you.
It's going to be tough just because the draft is so much different now with the 5-5. A lot of notable guys like a McCabe Millen or an Owen Duffy are not going to be in this year's draft. They're going to be pushed back now to the following year's draft. So a little bit more of a watered-down pool, but still a lot of great players on this list. I think you could make the argument to have Bobby Van Buren go at the number 1 pick just with how much the Atlas defense has struggled this year. It's been one of the worst units in the PLL, and it was evident today against the Redwoods that they need a lot of help back there. But I'm going to take Dom Petromalo with my number 1 pick if I'm the Atlas. And people might say, why would you take Dom with all the offensive firepower they have with Connor Schellenberg, with Jeff Tate? I'm of the belief, just like take the best player available, take one of the I don't go for fit. I'm taking who's the best player on the board. We've seen too many times teams drafting for fit and skipping over stars, a.k.a. Chris Cavanaugh going to the second round. The amount of teams that skipped over him. Even if you don't need a talent like that, you need to draft a guy like that. Dom Petromalo, when you watch him, maybe he doesn't jump off the page athletically, Mitch. He's not going to maybe blow by you and be this insane athlete like an Owen Duffy is. But he's just a pure goal scorer, one of the best shooting strokes. No pause there. We've seen in lacrosse in the last couple of years. Unbelievable finisher, natural scorer. I think he really grew this past season, and I expect him to take an even bigger jump next year in his last year at North Carolina. I just think what Dom Petramala brings you, son of a legendary coach. He knows the game well. He's all in on the game. We've had him on this show multiple times. You can tell how dialed in he is to the sport of lacrosse. I think that mixed with his natural ability as a goal scorer is going to translate really well in the PLL. Regardless of fit, I would take Dom Petramala number 1 overall.
Great, Hoagie. Glad that you are just going off of best player available. I think that this draft is completely different situation because there's not a ton of great talent available. So I think you maybe do have to go for a need a little bit more this year. But let's just talk functionality then. You draft Dom Petramala. How are you making that work with Jeff T? They literally occupy the exact same space on the field. I don't like that fit at all. I don't care about best player available.
You got to make it work in this
Okay,
league.
so how would you do it? Dom Petramala as a midfielder?
You might have to at the start of his career. You might have to run him out of the midfielder like a lot of stars have to.
You like Dom Petramala at the midfield?
You could run him out of the midfield, just like we've seen a lot of these.
If you're Pressler, are you doing that?
You would have to, at least to start, till you figure out the pieces of this offense. We see it all the time with guys like Chad Palumbo.
I don't think you're a great coach then. I love Dom Petramala. I think he deserves to be number 1, but to be a midfielder in the PLL, I don't think
so. That's what I'm saying.
What about Chad Palumbo right now in the chaos? He's running out of the box as a midfielder.
Time out, James
totally
Hogan.
Different player.
Yeah, that's what. Time out. Yeah, Chad Palumbo played midfield for most of his career at Princeton. So is Dom Petramala out of position, playing a not attack, still the number 1 best player?
I think you make it work. I think you.
So
make
Dom Petramala outside of his natural position is better than all of the defensemen that are available. I'm taking Bobby Van Buren. I guess maybe I'm the biggest Ohio State fan on this podcast, but Bobby Van Buren would have been the number 1 defensive option probably if he was in this year's draft. He's going to have the extra year of eligibility because of the injury. That's the only thing that concerns me is will he be healthy? Because I think there's some other good defenders. There's so much talent. Charlie Johnson, John Schroeder, Raleigh Figueres, Patrick Pisano, maybe a teammate of Bobby Van Buren's ends up at draft time next year might be the best defensive option. So I don't know. I'm looking at that defense, which Mitch described the California Redwoods, said they set the PLL record for most goals in a game. I'm sorry, I'm not saying that. The New York Atlas set the PLL record for most goals or points allowed in a game. I refuse to put the credit for the California Redwoods in that one. So this team needs defense. There's actually in a very, very shallow draft, a lot of good defensive talent. And I don't think that a Dom Petramala outside of his natural position would leapfrog any of those defensemen for me.
Yeah, well, I will say, though, like you said, it's very deep defensive-wise. I would rather take Dom Petramala and then get a value defender at another point in the draft to try and insert in that lineup like a Schroeder, like a Figueres, Pisano, like you mentioned, and go with Bobby Van Buren. We're in a new age of the PLL with guys leaving teams, contracts. I don't know how much longer Jeff Teat or Connor Schellenberger is going to be on the Atlas. I know Shelley signed a long-term extension, but how many years is that extension? In 2 years from the line, is one of those guys not on the team? To me, I'm taking a natural goal scorer in Dom Petramala who just puts the ball in the back of the net, plain and simple. I'll make it work. I'll figure it out.
I don't know if value is the direction the Atlas want to go after they kind of cheaped out to not keep Gavin Adler, let him walk in free agency, the defensive player of the year, and now they have the worst defense in the league. If I'm the Atlas, I maybe want to rethink the value that I'm putting into the defensive side of the field. So I don't know. I'm not thinking value pick. That's just me, though. Mitch, who would you go with if you were the Atlas and the number 1 pick here?
Honestly, I think I might be following you, Kevin, taking BVB. I like him. Again, to Hoagie's point, and to what we've seen in the national media, is got to stay healthy, right? The ACL, I think it was the ankle a couple years ago. If he stays healthy, he's one of the top prospects, I think, who's ever entered this league from a physicality standpoint. I also got to go with, not only did this guy graduate from one of the best high schools in America, John Schroeder, but an elite player. Like, this is a guy, it's an underrated guy. John Schroeder is not a guy that's going to be a Hall of Famer on the weekends, out with the guys. Not a Hall of Famer in the locker room being a glue guy. This is a guy that loves playing lacrosse, that loves to read books after he's done playing lacrosse. We heard it from McCabe Millen, lived with him. John Schroeder will be in the league for a long time. This guy is going to be one of those guys that I guarantee you is a mainstay on the defensive side, and no one even recognizes his name because that's the type of guy he is. I think he can be a player. I don't think he's number 1 in the draft worthy. I think BVB, just what he brings to the table, is. But to your point, Hoagie, too, like you said, I would rather grab Dom now and then also get a quality defender. There is so many defenders in this draft. I mean, I'm looking at Adam Lamberti's top 5 right now. He's got Petro at 1, Bobby Van Buren at 2, AJ Larkin at 3, Charlie Johnson at 4, John Schroeder at 5. That's 4 defensemen in the top 5 of the draft. And one of those offensive guys, the only offensive guy, is Dom Petromala. So it's definitely draft heavy. It's definitely defensive heavy. But to my overall point, I like BVB, but I truly think Schroeder could be in that 2 spot and be a long-term player.
So where's your allegiance? To your college teammate or to you were high school teammates with Schroeder?
I will say high school teammates. Yeah, he moved from Boston. We were like, who is this kid? And strapped me and Multi. It was crazy. I'm going to pick BVB because I feel like Hoagie and I know we both played with him at Ohio State for 3 years, V?
3, I think 2 or 3.
3 years, yeah. I think 3 years.
3 years. Look, Bobby, if he stays healthy, is an all-pro level defender. One of the most athletic guys that we've ever played with, Mitch, that I've ever seen. His ability to match feet with people is as good as I've seen out of anyone in recent memory in lacrosse in the college game. He's a lockdown, true defender if he stays healthy. The one question is the health issues. He's had those 2 severe injuries, and he's been banged up in some of the other seasons. So if he can stay healthy, that's the biggest concern. If the health wasn't a concern, to me, BVB, slam dunk, number 1 pick. That's your all-pro player 100%. For years to come. But, of course, 100%. Like anything in sports, the injury concern is always something you have to look at and you have to monitor. So that may bump him down a little bit if he'll ultimately, some defender like a Schroeder, Mitch, has an unbelievable first-team All-American level season this year. That could be something that pushes Bobby back. But, hey, it's not always a bad thing when you slide back. We've seen a lot of guys who slid in the draft have some success, like a Chris Kavanaugh. So Bobby, he'll be a pro-level stud whoever takes him.
I'm buying stock on Charlie Johnson. That's if I'm picking one of these defensemen to buy stock on that could leap BVB, it's Charlie Johnson. He was a top 10 player. And remember, we came out with our rankings, the top 10 players in the Final Four. Charlie Johnson slid in there, and I think at number 10, I know Dukes was high on him as well. He said he's probably the most underrated player on our top 10 list. And you saw the impact he had in that semifinal. Even though Duke lost to Princeton, the decision to switch Charlie Johnson onto Chad Palumbo, you saw the impact of, okay, he took Chad Palumbo out of the game. This is what it looks like when a number 1 defender goes up, switches the matchup. So I think Charlie Johnson's a great cover defender, number 1 guy, and he'll be in the mix next year. Atlas should consider it over Dom Petromala. No offense to Dom, who's been on the show a couple times. He's a friend of the program.
Yeah, 100%. It would be fun to see. I can't wait to flash back to these clips in a couple months. But let's go back to some team play. Despite beating the Woods on Friday night, Carolina's loss in Philly and Cali's win against New York have them obviously in a tough spot. The Chaos now have a 20% shot of making the playoffs and no longer are control of their own destiny. Is it officially time to count the Chaos out? Hoagie, I'm going to start with you.
They say to never count out the Chaos, and I know the Chaos social media team's watching this right now. They're going to clip this frame.
Clip this.
And they're going to get ready to put this all over Twitter and Instagram when I'm wrong. But yes, it's time to count out the Chaos. The Chaos are not making the playoffs. I said the Outlaws last week. I'll raise my hand up there. I did not look at the future schedules. I was just going off vibes. I didn't see oh wait, they have these games left. The Chaos are missing the playoffs. They only have 1 game left, Mitch, against the Archers this upcoming weekend. The Archers are going to want to win that game. They win that game, they basically lock up the number 1 seed in the West, get the first round bye, and then they'll host a semifinal PLL game in Salt Lake City, Utah, in front of their home fans. So Utah's going to come prepared, wanting to win that game to lock up first place in the West. So the Chaos have a tough game already on their hands. Not only do they need to win that game to make the playoffs, they need both the Outlaws and Redwoods to lose their final 2 games. So the chances of that happening, they says 20% chance to make the playoffs. I think it's got to be less because you need the Outlaws to go 0-2. You need the Redwoods to go 0-2, and then you got to win your game if they want to get in, which I just don't see happening. But, hey, we've seen crazier things in the PLL. I'm going to count out the Chaos. I think the Chaos too little too late for them.
Yep. Kev?
Well, I thought you can't count out the Chaos. I won't count them out just yet just because this league has been so crazy and so many insane things have happened. They're definitely behind the 8 ball with only 1 game left, so there's less variables for them, and they have to beat the Archers, probably by a lot. So I'm not really counting on the Chaos to make this. But what's crazy is they could win that game, be 6-6, and be the team that left out. So we've been saying the Western Conference is strong all along, and that's kind of the evidence there is how high that floor is in that conference. But a couple of weeks ago, Hoagie, we had the discussion, who do you trust more, the Chaos or the Redwoods? Was it up until this weekend that you lost your trust in the Chaos? You had been saying Chaos over Redwoods all until now.
I mean, honestly, as evidence on Friday night, honestly, I still would take the Chaos over the Redwoods in terms of the team, but that's not how it's going to shape out with the playoffs. So it's ultimately like a lose-lose there. If you were asking me tomorrow which team do I want or trust more, I would still say the Chaos over the Redwoods tomorrow. But obviously, the way it's going to shape out, it looks like most likely the Chaos are going to miss and the Redwoods are going to make. So I know maybe that doesn't correlate together, but I mean, you saw the Chaos beat the Redwoods on Friday night, despite not winning a face-off the entire game. So, I still trust this Chaos team. I think they lost a couple games along the way. They're not going to probably ultimately make the playoffs, but I still would take them over the Redwoods. Yeah, I'm not backing down from that.
I think there's some, the Rowlett injury was tough. Their offense kind of was a little slow in the middle of the season. Owen Hiltz had a slow start. I don't know. Stinks because they were my pick to make it to the championship. I think I actually maybe even picked them to win, if I remember correctly. But that's not looking too good right now. Stephen Brooks coming off the Champ Series win. I don't know. I just thought there would be more juice behind that team this year. And it hasn't turned out to be the case.
I think their biggest issue, obviously the score differential, they have the worst in the Western Conference, so we talk about them only having one game left, but also the thing that's really holding them back is their score differential. They're like minus 19, which is farther than away everyone else. So even if they got tied, they would still lose the head-to-head because of the score differential, so they need to be ahead of these teams. That's what's really hurting them. I think Brendan Nichtern and Jackson Eicher had hot starts this season. Both of those guys cooled down in a big way down the stretch. Teddy Malone, they got some good stuff out of rookies like him. Chad Palumbo started off really hot, kind of cooled down. Now he's back on the ascendance. But they got some promise for the future. I think them moving forward, it's star power. I think the biggest thing I looked at was I was really expecting a bigger season out of Shane Knobloch, if we're being completely honest, especially coming off a Champ Series. I thought he was going to be a guy who could contend for MVP and kind of have that big leap this year. After what we saw at Champ Series, where it looked like he was the best player in the field that whole tournament, he honestly didn't have as big of a season as I thought he was going to have, and I think that kind of really stunted the growth of this Chaos team a little bit, expecting him to take that leap. So they got a good core of rookies, I think, coming back next year. Let's say they don't make the playoffs. I love Stephen Brooks as a head coach and an offensive mind in this league. So I think their ceiling is high with what they have on the talent-wise, but expected a little more to Knobloch, guys like Nichtern and them cooling down, and a bad score differential, and that'll do it in the PLL for you.
Yeah.
Dude, not a single attackman with 20 points on their roster.
Yeah, it's not
Chad Palumbo's the only guy they have in the top 25 scorers. They just don't have a guy who could take over and get them big buckets and big moments, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, you guys know how quick the league can turn. Hoagie's right. If these guys don't play at the helm they deserve, then that's all it takes for a team. But let's do a quick look ahead to Boston. Every team's up north. Beautiful Harvard Stadium, like we did last week. What are you guys watching for in the Cannons homecoming weekend? Kev, we'll start with you.
Well, the Archers, we saw the Philadelphia Waterdogs clinch the 1 seed in the East this week. We'll see if the Archers can clinch the 1 seed in the West. Basically, they just need a win over the Chaos. That would be a pretty crazy turnaround, wouldn't it? They were last in the league last year, number 1 pick. Get Aidan McGuire, rebuild your team around 4 short-stick defensive midfielders, and you're number 1 in the West again. And they look pretty good until this week. I wouldn't be shocked if they go on a run, get hot in the playoffs, and suddenly we're looking at the Archers as a dynasty of 3 titles in 4 years. So I feel good about the Archers, and I'm excited to see if they're going to bounce back next week in Boston, or if they maybe peaked a little too early.
Hoagie?
Yeah, I think, too, I'm looking at the Cannons on their homecoming weekend. Obviously, remember famously last season, they had a chance to make the playoffs in Harvard on the final weekend of the regular season. They went 0-2 to end their season, and that kind of ended the Cannons team as we saw it at the moment. Ashton Alton played 1 game this season and then was ultimately released, so it's kind of been a new Cannons team since that moment last year. And Boston has a chance to clinch the playoffs this year, a year after they lost their games at home to 2 opponents and missed the playoffs. Is it a potential quarterfinal preview between Boston and Maryland? We have the opportunity to see that. We're also going to see the Outlaws versus the Atlas in the 2025 championship rematch, which is wild to see those two teams playing for a championship this year. Denver fighting to stay in the playoffs. Atlas are all but eliminated from the playoffs. So
Crazy.
That'll be a crazy game. And then, a lot of old rivalries with the Archers versus Chaos. We have the Archers 4-stick, short-stick D-midi approach with all of that stuff. And will the Chaos go no fogo again with Justin Inacio being hurt? They went 1-1 without him.
There he is.
And there's Terry
There
on the scene.
he is. The hair has never looked so good. We got Ryan Terefenko on the scene, baby. You get a fresh cut for the show, or
Nah, I've been rocking
for this
that
best
for
weekend?
Few days now. High and tight, like you like
Ryan
it, Mitch.
Terefenko, baby. Come on, you're looking good. You're looking good.
Terry used
we
to get
saw
the
an Instagram
haircuts in the
story.
barber shop in the locker room back in the day. Henry giving the cuts.
Were you giving cuts back in the day? For the fans out there that don't know, in the Buckeye locker room, there's a barber shop. And I'm too picky for anyone to touch my hair, so I was never in there. But Terry, were you giving haircuts or getting haircuts?
No, getting haircuts. Free haircuts for the 5 years I was there. It was a great experience there. Getting those.
We saw on the Instagram story, post-win Little Buckeye Donuts. An establishment. The fans know. We talk about it a ton on this show. What was the order?
Oh, I went back to old reliable bacon, egg, and cheese, add a hash brown, everything bagel. Come on.
Bang. Bang. Any donut or coffee?
Yeah, no, I went glazed donut. I got a little treat for afterwards. I had a long drive, guys. I had a 6-hour drive a day.
You have to do a donut there. Mitch, every time Mitch and I go back to Columbus nowadays, it's like you got to hit Buckeye Donuts.
I was
about
there
an
2 weeks
institution.
ago for my camp. I think I slammed 3 donuts in 2 days. I'll admit it. I'll be man enough to say it. It's probably not the healthiest, but when you're there, you got to get it. It's one of those situations when you're in the city, you got to get it. But what an unbelievable Saturday night for Big Terry. I mean, can you cap it off any better way? And we talked about on the show a little bit earlier, 10-4 going into half. I don't know, if you talk to the team, Sudan, whoever, coming out, you score the game-winning goal. What was it like just to have that moment in Columbus?
Yeah, man, it was awesome. Obviously we needed to win bad coming off of last weekend, so that was, the most important thing. But, doing it in Columbus, the way it was done, obviously super special. My parents were there, my fiance was there, so it was an awesome experience. But just glad, at the end of the day, the boys were able to get a W and get back on the right track.
What was that halftime speech like? Did you cue that off? One of the coaches?
No, I don't know. There wasn't necessarily a halftime speech. We felt like we've been doing a lot of talking this year, throughout the practices and halftimes and stuff like that. And for us, it just comes down to just executing. Right? We just got to execute better. And I think you just saw us executing at a lot higher of a clip that last half, and just kind of came to fruition with us there. But not much needs to be said at this point of the year. We kind of know what we need to do, and it's just a matter of going out there and doing it.
100%. When we were all in college, there obviously wasn't any replay until Hoagie and I's last year. You obviously didn't have it. Obviously, with this situation on Saturday, you're probably thankful that you had it. Are you in the position where you love replay? Do you think it adds a lot of value to the sport, or are you not a replay guy? Because myself, and Kev, we're like, let's go back to no replay. We think that obviously brings the element of sport. But in your situation, you probably love it for last night, but is that your overall feel on replay?
Yeah, it's a tough one. I'm a big fan of it, obviously sitting right here, right now. Yeah, I don't know. I think we've probably gotten a little crazy with replay. At least in other sports, other leagues. I don't know if lacrosse is at that level yet. I think it has been used appropriately for the most part with lacrosse, and I do feel like those replays, they're not taking super long. They're usually pretty quick. Matty P on the video board, he's usually pretty fast with it, but. No, I think right now we're at a space where it's probably appropriate and it's being handled well, but I could see there being an issue in the future where it's maybe a little bit of an overkill.
Yeah, 100%. Scoring that goal live, when you shot that and you saw the ball go in or out or whatever you saw live in action, did you feel it went in?
No. I thought I posted out, and you could see on the broadcast, man, like I was pretty down bad. Obviously, we had overtime, but get a chance to seal the deal with that kind of look and kind of blow it. I was pretty pissed off at myself. But, credit O'Neal and Bundy, like those guys were on it right away. I mean, they felt like they saw it go in. Obviously once I saw the replay, it was pretty clear. So, but originally, man, I was hurting.
Terry, what's the
was
first
tough.
thing Nick Myers said to you when you saw him post game after that?
Oh, no, I mean, he was barely could talk, dude. He was just so fired up. But no, he's the man. I mean, he came up, gave me a big hug. He was really happy for me. Obviously, cool experience for him to be there too. And we just chatted a little bit, but he could barely speak.
Yeah, he was so fired up. Hoagie and I haven't been on site when the PLL has been to Columbus. Watching from TV, it looks unreal. Do you think that should be an annual stop for the league every year?
I think it's got to be, man. I mean, they showed up. We got some pretty, not the best weather. It was raining a little bit, for the first half of our game, and everyone was there. I mean, it was packed house. People were sitting outside, underneath the stands and stuff, just getting rained on, and it was good. The environment was sweet. I mean, that stadium size is ideal for for the environment we're trying to have with professional lacrosse. But no, they show out every year, so I think that should be a staple for sure.
Terry, was that your first time playing there, or did you play there 2 years ago with the PLL?
No, I got to play there 2 years ago when the PLL was there. So I mean, it's awesome. It's state of the art. It's one of the nicer facilities, obviously in college for sure. But it's sweet. You guys get what, 1 or 2 years on there?
We got one. That was our
we got
senior
one.
year. Yeah.
It was sick, though. I think, to your point, it's like, I mean, I don't know if you realize this. You're on the field so much. Hoagie and I, iffy on our Buckeye career. But the fans are so close to you.
So
like,
close.
they're at your back. They could touch your helmet. I feel like they're that close. I like that aspect.
Yeah, no,
especially
we went to
away
the Penn
teams.
State Ohio State game this past spring, and we sat on the other side, like in the ground seats. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Those ones, you feel like you're literally sitting on the field, which is sweet.
Yeah, which is super cool. I mean, I think a lot of people don't know this, but back in the day, I think for all of your years except one, we didn't do this when we got there, but Ohio State used to scrimmage the Ohio Machine every year. And that used to be a tradition, getting the boys back into the motion of fall and getting back to school. What were those games and battles like? And then ultimately, do you think Ohio should have a PLL team or honestly bring back Ohio Machine?
Yeah, we did that my freshman year, I believe, and that was the first time I got to see Dominique kind of live in action and just remembering just how massive he was as a player on the field. I mean, he's obviously a big dude when you're just talking to him off the field, but it was fun. I mean, it was a good game. Obviously, we did that in the fall and stuff just to kind of compete, but I mean, I'm sure that's the plan in the near future, hopefully, when the PLL ever does expand. And I'm sure Ohio is high on the list for a team just with the history they have and obviously how much it's grown in the Midwest and Ohio specifically. They show out, man. They definitely are looking for another team there. So I sure hope so.
You talked about O'Neal earlier. What did you see from him on Saturday that you might not have seen from him earlier part in this year?
Yeah, I mean, he's just taking charge. He just took a little bit more charge on last game. I mean, he has the ability to take over games. We got to do a better job of just giving him the ball in certain spots where he wants it and making sure, we're not just giving him the ball and saying, go do your thing. We still got to play kind of around him and put him in spots where he likes. But, I mean, I still think he's the most talented lacrosse player, playing right now. The things he can do on the field, I don't think there's many, if any, can do the same level that he can. So, I'm obviously a huge, Brent O'Neal fan, but he just played great. He played with a lot of confidence. He took his chances when they were there, and he capitalized. He shot the ball really well, and the guys were all fired up to see him kind of take that step this season and put a nice signature game on the docket.
Similar to him, Dalton Young. In your opinion, what did he bring to that attack?
I mean, Dalton's a beast. I mean, he's been playing obviously out of position for like the last 3 or 4 years, however long he's been in the league. He was an awesome college lacrosse player at attack. Multiple-time conference player of the year. But it was just fun. Like, he just was playing with so much joy and fun, like just having a great time. He was dodging hard. He was getting to his spots. He was putting the ball in the net. I mean, guys really respond to him and how he plays and the energy he plays with. And, I texted him after the game just how impressed I was with, his compete level, but just like he just looked like he was having a blast out there. So it was great to see him just have that moment. I mean, He's probably not done. I'm sure he's going to have a couple more big games for us coming up, but just really cool for him to kind of get back to where he's used to playing and just produce. I mean, talk about like not being at your normal position for the last 3 seasons, and then you're asking a lot of him, and he just went out there and did his thing. So it was super fun to watch, obviously from the sidelines.
Yeah, Terry, the Whipsnakes didn't dress a face-off guy, obviously, with Petey LaSala being hurt. How did that kind of help you guys' mindset in that game when you guys got in a deep hole early? You're down 10-4, but you kind of know Luke Weirman's going to win every face-off and you're going to get every possession the rest of the game. How did that kind of help you guys mentally when you got down early to feel like, hey, we're still in this, just let a couple go our way, keep chipping away, and we'll be right back in it?
Yeah. No, I mean, I know Hoagie's a pro face-off guy here, but is that the consensus for the group or what?
We kind of let Hoagie.
He's the voice of the face-off.
Yeah.
We know that.
Well, if he's the voice, then it's going to be pretty pro. But no, I'm just messing with you. But no, I mean, like, it's weird. I mean, I think a lot of people would just say that the face-off stuff in the PLL is kind of in a funky spot right now. You saw what happened with TD and the Redwoods in their first game, and we were trying to figure out the best way to kind of go about that with a team not dressing a face-off guy. And you got to be creative, and you got to have, Luke's obviously really talented at winning face-offs, but also just getting the ball in his stick quickly and moving it. He made a few just crazy plays. As I rewatched the game today on my ride home, I mean, those 2 fast break plays I think he had in either the third or fourth quarter were awesome. Like, I completely kind of missed those just because I was, getting water or whatever, or talking to someone else. But it's tough. I mean, you gotta get creative. I mean, we did some different stuff with having offensive midfielders on the wings and, subbing guys through the defensive end and getting Luke kind of off the field as fast as we could. But, you got to make do with, what you're given. And I thought our offense did actually a pretty good job handling like the 32-second shot clock. I think we had at least 4 or 5 goals in that time frame. So I would say it was a successful day in that regard.
Terry, you took some face-offs too back in the day. You ever think about get Weirman a little break there, take a couple reps from time to time?
Yeah, honestly, I like taking them against actual face-off guys because then I got nothing to lose. I can go early, I can cheat a little bit, and I can see what happens. When it's not a face-off guy, then I got to take it a little more serious.
Right. I kind of want a little bit more perspective. I know a few years ago with the face-off stuff, it was way out of control when you were still allowed to have polls on the face-off and teams were going against each other, both trying to lose the face-off. How do you feel like adapting to the 32-second offense? I just heard you mention it as maybe smoothed that over in the past few years.
I think people are still trying to figure out how to do it correctly. I mean, I'm not sure there's a right or wrong answer. 32 seconds is a short amount of time. I mean, you're talking about, usually it's around 22 to 24 seconds that offenses are kind of starting. So it's tough. I mean, it's probably more, I would say, on the attackman of starting the offense and getting, early offense 4-on-4, 5-on-5 going while subbing's happening is probably the next step for their, at least our team. And when we're talking about different stuff we want to try to do, but you got to get creative. You got to have certain looks that you really like and, go through them throughout the game and just hope that, the offense is moving the ball correctly and, you're getting decent shots because you don't want to feel like every possession you're rushing. I think that's probably the biggest thing for the O guys is they want to make sure they have enough time, everyone touching the ball, and they're getting, opportunities at least that they like and can live with.
Well, 52 seconds, 32 seconds, doesn't seem to matter. When the ball's in your stick in transition, Outlaws feel like one of the best teams in that space. So I've actually heard you kind of credit your water polo background or your mindset in transition. At TLN, we love dual sport athletes. Usually it's, the Faison brothers, football, lacrosse. But tell us a little bit about this water polo lacrosse crossover and how you translate those games.
Yeah, no, I think the general public maybe thinks that I'm like a sick water polo player, but I just want to put on the record I was not a very good water polo player. I was a backup goalie for the high school team, but it's just something that in my community, everyone plays growing up. It's pretty big. My high school team is pretty good at it. We've had a couple state championships over the years, and all my friends my age played, so I just kind of kept me in the sport. And it's a fun sport. I loved it. I love playing goalie. The biggest thing you talk about in transition is just as soon as a shot's scent in water polo, those guys are immediately swimming up the pool and trying to get a head start. So it's similar. You know, when you have Logan and Owen in net, it's like shot on net, you just got to assume your goalie is going to make a save, and as soon as you feel like that shot's loose, you just got to get up the field and start pushing the other way. But there's, you know, some correlation, I'm sure, with the water polo lacrosse pipeline.
That's a different lacrosse pipeline we haven't talked about on this show yet. But what was it about your hometown? Like, why was water polo big there?
Tell the fans where you're from, Terry.
Sinking Springs, PA, Mitch. You know that. Come on.
Come on, baby. Come on, baby.
You know what? For whatever
Mitch
reason,
would last a day in Sinking Springs.
You said everyone plays water polo there?
It's big. I mean, like when you're a youth kid, you play. It's similar to like soccer and stuff. Like we got a good youth participation, and then certain guys stick with it. But like every high school in my county, for the most part, has a water polo team. And yeah, it's competitive. It's fun. I mean, we all just grew up kind of doing it. So if for whatever reason, it's somewhat popular here. It's not crazy, but it's definitely a sport that a lot of people play.
That's a hotbed I didn't know about, Mitch.
Mitch, add that. Mitch, you might have to investigate that. Make a video. Go to Sinking Springs and investigate the water polo.
What was the high school?
Seen an undercover Mitch in the pool.
Was it Wilson? Is that your high school?
Yeah, Wilson.
Wilson. That's Baltimore. Not a lot
I'll
of
hook
people
you
know
up,
that.
dude.
Come on.
I'll hook
Give
you
me
up
the
with
wig.
Mitch in one of those
Give
caps.
me the wig and the
What is it?
microphone, and I'm
the
there.
Caps, the swimming cap you wear, Mitch.
I would love that. I'm not a great swimmer, but I would love to be in that. I think I'd be a pretty good goalie. You know, on another note, Rye, I think the lacrosse community was fired up this week with the newly revealed Global Lacrosse Games. What were your honest thoughts on that? And honestly, is that something we can see you being involved in December?
Yeah, I mean, my first thoughts were it's awesome. I think it's really cool. I mean, they're trying to simulate that like Four Nations thing that the NHL did, however many months ago that was. It's really awesome. I think the biggest thing from my perspective, just playing in both leagues, is there was obviously some sort of collaboration between the PLL and NLL, which was obvious. So it's good that they're working together. I think that's huge for just the growth of lacrosse in general. They got to figure out the way schedules work and all that, and just make the lacrosse schedule for guys who are playing in both leagues a little bit more manageable. But super excited. I mean, I surely hope that I can participate in it. It seems like it's going to be a really fun and well-run event, and I'm certainly looking forward to seeing how that goes.
Team USA 2028, it's obviously everyone continues to talk about. What do you think Team USA needs to do to continue to compete and potentially beat Team Canada in sixes?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, they obviously have our number in that discipline right now. There's obviously a lot of box principles that are certainly kind of embedded into the sixes game. In my opinion, I just think whichever country kind of buys into it and gets their team early and kind of builds a training camp or builds an extended training period where the guys are training with each other for 3 to 4 months before the Olympics, and the coaching staffs are there, and similar to how other Olympic sports do it. I think whichever team does that will definitely have an advantage. Whether or not that's possible, I'm not entirely sure. But I just think the game's so new and everyone's still trying to learn how to play it correctly, that whichever team just decides to kind of go all in and say, we're going to dedicate 4 months to training together, practicing together, watching film, studying the game, figuring out the best, ways to go about playing defense, offense, and all that, will certainly have a big advantage when the Olympics come around.
Right. We got the Olympics with sixes in 2028, but we also have World Championships in 2027 next year in Japan. Actually, earlier this morning, we recorded this on Sunday, the United States women won gold over in Japan. Flashing back to 2023, you're a short stick defensive midfielder, so you score goals, you get takeaway checks, but that play you had towards the end of the game just to kind of like run through the gauntlet of Canadian players, getting all hacked up, just kind of chewing up clock and get it to the offensive end for the timeout. As a short stick defensive midfielder, one of the grittiest positions on the field, where does that moment rank in your memory of great plays you've made?
It's pretty high. I mean, just with everything that came with that, and sometimes I'll see it floating around on the internet, and you can kind of hear the USA chants behind in the background, and it's something I'll, obviously always remember. And, I always kind of joke with Coach D whenever I see him about just like not calling a timeout when I was getting slaughtered out there, just kind of chop it up with him. But no, it's fun. It's great. And it's certainly a moment that I look back to frequently when I'm down or I need a little pick me up.
It's got to be a record for the most soaked checks in lacrosse history. Terry, you were being assaulted on Mitch, Hack City. Man, you would have dropped the stick, Mitch, if that was you.
100%. I was out. Like, people know that. I don't think that's a lie. I mean, it's crazy. I think what's potentially even crazier is maybe the night you had Saturday night. After a game like that, you don't just hang out in Columbus and go to bed. Talk to us about just hitting the game winner back in your city. And what were the festivities? What did the boys get into?
Was Terry going to Midway? Was he running it back to Tuna?
No. Midway's on thin ice now, boys. These PLL weekends are tough, man. Like, you got the 1 o'clock game. I know all three of us view Columbus as a high priority city, but that's not necessarily how the whole Denver Outlaws squad views it. So there was a lot of guys who got out a little bit earlier. And left Saturday, at 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night. But I still had a great night. I went out to dinner with my family, and then Ben Randall showed me into his house. We enjoyed a few beverages and hung out. The missus were hanging out. It was obviously an awesome time. He just recently had a baby girl, so it was really awesome to meet her. Part of the Buckeye family as well. But that was great. We spent about 3 or 4 hours over there and just kind of chilled out, enjoyed some nice beverages.
Enjoy some fellowship. When you were a senior, you were our captain. When a young Mitch Pehlke and James Hogan walked up on that team, what was your early scouting report on us? I need to hear.
We had a lot of film on you, Mitch.
We gotta know if it was good or bad.
Yeah, we had a lot of film. We would just go on YouTube and see what was up. But no, I mean, man, listen. I was obviously a different cat in college, and I've learned to loosen up a little bit. But the thing about you two, man, is like you guys love lacrosse, dude, and you put in the work. You guys love getting better. You guys were at the Woody constantly. You guys were never messing around there in practice, and I love those kind of guys. So as much as I wanted to hate you, Mitch, just with all your YouTube stuff at the start, you're a hard worker, dude, and I appreciate that. And same to you, Hoagie. I met Hoagie, dude. Hoagie might not even remember this, dude. I met Hoagie at the committee games my junior year, and I thought this dude was a brother of a guy playing on the team. He was 5'3", probably
looked so young.
40. He looked like a brother. I was like, man, this guy's brother, like, he looked like he's pretty good. And then all of a sudden he's warming up next to me. I'm like, dude, what the hell? What position you play?
That's so good.
I remember that, Terry, out at Hofstra, committee games. I don't even think I had armpit hair at that point. I think I was like not even hit puberty. I'm going to Ohio State. We didn't have a face-off guy that in the 2018 class. I think J.I. had some conflict. Maybe he was playing somewhere. So, Coach Myers asked me to play, and usually that was towards, the seniors or juniors class.
You were the youngest guy there.
I was the youngest guy, only guy in my class. So I just kind of showed up there. Everyone's like, who is this guy? I look 12. I'll never forget that, Terry. That was an awesome weekend.
Gosh, that's the best.
And Terry and I did a road trip back one time. My flight got canceled. We drove from PA all the way to Columbus with George. Terry, remember that? We drove cross country. That was a great trip too. Driving in the car, Terry's old car. I forget what type of car you had, Terry. You had the nice Honda Civic. Yeah, then it had a lot of tread on the tires.
Shift? Was it stick shift?
Yeah,
I just thinking that
race car.
That's crazy. Yep. And I hate to say it, there's Terry's in driving, and there's 4 extra seats. We had at least 5 guys in the car each time. It was packed to the brim. A couple guys in the trunk. We were keeping it safe, though. But, man, I always say, too, and I know I've said this to you in person, you were by far the best leader I've ever had in the sport of lacrosse, and I want you to know that. I always
100%.
say Ryan Terefenko is the best leader and captain I've ever had, and the scariest teammate I've ever had is Jeff Henrik. I swear to God, Jeff Henrik could do some heinous things to a human being, and we've obviously seen that in indoor. But your guys' senior class, I feel like, really set the precedent for Buckeye lacrosse. Obviously, your freshman year, you guys go to the national championship. Doesn't turn out your guys' way, but I felt like just for the trajectory of Buckeye lacrosse, you can't forget about you, Henrik, and Trey LeClaire. How do you feel that looking back of what your class has done just for Buckeye lacrosse as a whole?
Yeah, I mean that whole class was awesome. I actually got I was out living with Jeff in Minneapolis for the last 4 years and running some camps and stuff with him. So I mean we were obviously really close, and I actually just got lunch with Trey this past weekend to catch up. But I mean those guys are just they're some of my best friends. Obviously we've been through a lot together. It's awesome looking back now just to see how much we've grown together, and we've all kind of gone our separate ways a little bit, and we've stayed in touch in some degrees. But just watching them do some really awesome stuff in lacrosse. I'll text both of those guys after NLL games or PLL games when they score a bunch of goals. I mean Trey's been absolutely nuclear the last few weeks, but yeah, it's great. I mean those guys love Ohio State just as much as anyone, and to be able to kind of play together for those 5 years with those guys was a dream come true.
Love that. Also, Tara, last one on my end. Everyone always asks me at my camps or wherever I'm at, like, what's your welcome to like Division I lacrosse moment? What's your welcome to college lacrosse moment? It's our second practice. I'm clearing the ball. Josh Kirsten throws me a buddy pass. I catch it. Ba-boom! I turn around. Ryan Terefenko lays me out. My mouthpiece is on the floor. You walk over to me and you go, "Welcome to Big Ten lacrosse." And I was like,
that does not sound like me at all, Mitch.
No, Terry, you're in a different mindset. You even said it.
Okay. That
Welcome
sounds
to
like
Big Ten
maybe
lacrosse.
something I would say in like 2018, 2019. Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
I love
Honestly,
that.
I think my welcome to college moment was taking a 2-on-1 ground ball versus Terry and Brandon Barker, and I was in the middle on defense. I probably was stuck in the mud. I think Terry was out 100 yards ahead of me. I didn't even bother getting in the hole. Brandon Barker gave me a nice hack on the leg. I was like,
Yeah, Barker's not even going for the ball. He's going straight.
No, he
at
went
it.
right. You went right for ball, Terry. I'll never forget this. Barker straight for my body. I was like, damn, I need to get a lot more stronger if I want to be playing on this team. Oh,
Crazy.
man. Good times. Good times.
Well, Terry, we appreciate you hopping on. Thank you so much, and we'll be pumped to watch you the rest of the season.
Yeah, boys. Thanks for having me, man. I love what you guys are doing, and appreciate you guys having me on.
Thanks,
Thank
Terry.
you.
Appreciate you.
Thanks, Derek. Summer lacrosse is here, and the TLN shop is ready for it. Cool down collection, script hats in every color, limited collabs, and hats on a 2 for $60 deal. Fresh gear for the best time of year. Go to shop.thelacrossenetwork.com and use code MPLS for 10% off. Exclusions apply.
All right, guys. I don't know about all of y'all, but I feel like lately I've been feeling kind of like a lawyer. Got my law degree, been taking the, is it called the LSTAT? That's ball knower right there. But with all the news going on right now with the NCAA and all these rules, Hoagie, you're not a lawyer either, but I want you to help break this down for us. We established during the Lars Tiffany saga, but can you help us lay out this whole 5-for-5 drama? I first heard Joey Spallina's class was trying to go back to Syracuse. Then I heard they weren't. What's going on? Do you kind of have an inside scoop for us?
There's been a lot of drama within this 5-for-5, 5-in-5, which is ironic because the whole point and the whole reason the NCAA did this in the first place was to try and eliminate the drama moving forward, right? Eliminate the 6 years, the 7th years, the waivers. Like, everyone gets 5 and let's move on. So we kind of had the 5-and-5 passed, kind of dust settled a little bit, and then now here we are again talking about it again. And it's going to be really interesting to see how this goes moving forward for the class of 2022. On Tuesday, Inside Lacrosse reported that 5 Syracuse lacrosse players, Joey Spallina, Billy Dwan, Luke Roa, Michael Leo, and Finn Thompson, joined a lawsuit filed in Denver District Court and were seeking a 5th year of eligibility. They were allowed to do that because they played those games in Colorado against Air Force in Denver this past season, so I guess that gives them a leg up in the legality of it to join that suit. Then flash forward now to Thursday, Inside Lacrosse reported that Spallina and Dwan were no longer a part of that lawsuit. So everyone was kind of getting all stirred up, riled up about they should get the extra year, they shouldn't get the extra year. Then it comes out that Joey and Dwan are like, we're not even on this suit. Then Friday, the big bombshell dropped. A U.S. District Court judge in Colorado granted a preliminary injunction that gives all athletes from the class of 2022 an immediate extra year of eligibility. Of course, the NCAA will appeal this decision moving forward, and we'll see where this goes. But, another mess on their hands for the NCAA. This goes deeper than just lacrosse. You got college football players now with the season 3-4 weeks away. Are they eligible? Is Drew Aller, Cade Klubnik, those kind of guys in the NFL, are they able to, come back and play in football this fall and lacrosse-wise next year? Joey Spallina, Rookie of the Year potentially. He's going to go from being a top 10 points player in the PLL to going back to college. it's going to be very interesting how this all shapes out moving forward. I do want to lay out, right now these guys technically would be seemingly eligible to play. Obviously, lacrosse season's a long ways away. We saw this with Charles Bediako at Alabama last year. He played 5 games for Alabama. A judge gave him a restraining order to play. He ended up playing 5 games. NCAA appealed it, and then he got shut down and ruled ineligible. So the runway is not totally clear, but the door is cracked open now for these class of 2022 guys to come back. We'll ultimately see where it goes. The NCAA is really going to try and hammer it down. We'll see. Is it all of class of 2022? Are there exceptions? Is the NCAA going to compromise in the middle and say, if you didn't play pro, you can come back? It's going to be crazy that like a guy like Joey Spallina potentially play a full pro season, be Rookie of the Year, finish top 10 in points, and then wait, he's all the way back at Syracuse next year. Going to be a mess moving forward, but that's where we're at in the current state of college athletics. It's the Wild West. It's been the Wild West since COVID, and here's another iteration of that.
Yeah, this also affects the lacrosse players more because they graduate and immediately go to their pro season. So it's not like basketball. Like a lot of basketball players, there's a guy like Jackson Kohler who played at Michigan State for 4 years, and he can kind of see the writing on the wall. Played summer league, but now he's looking to go back to like a BYU, at Kansas. I saw like some options like that. One thing to be clear, it's not like I see like, joking around like Matt Rambo and Larkin Kemp online being like, oh, can I get eligibility? It's like, no, this ends 5 years after you graduate high school. It's 5 years after you're 19. So like 2022 is the rare case where they still are deemed eligible because they were 5 years after. And also, my argument for the 2022 class is this. They got hosed because they were in the transition period where they entered college. They're competing against guys that are 5th years, 6 years for playing time. Now, when they graduate, they don't get that 5th year that everybody else that they played with in college, like freshmen, sophomores, juniors, they get. So I do think the 2022 class should get a 5th year of eligibility. I do not think that anybody that has played a professional lacrosse game should get a 5th year. Should start and end there. The funny thing to me is Finn Thompson, who I thought had the best argument to come back to Syracuse because he didn't play any PLL games. In the middle of his rookie debut game, this court ruling came out.
That's insane. And Dukes, I'm with you on that last point. I know we're entering unprecedented territory with this 5-5 and eligibility issues, but common sense tells me that Joey Spallina cannot play a full pro season and then go back to college. We'll see what ends up happening, but I'm curious what colleges will maybe have the players that weren't drafted, the best undrafted players who didn't make it to the league or didn't play for whatever reason. Like, who's going to benefit if this somehow does go through and class of 2022 high school graduating class suddenly gets a blanket new year of eligibility? Like a guy like Will Schaller, who went in the 3rd round but is injured, hasn't played for the Archers. Could he come back and play for Maryland? What about the other seniors they lost that weren't drafted? What about a team like Richmond, who had a ton of seniors on the team that was kind of a veteran team that they thought they were going to have to rebuild with a bunch of new guys? Like, are those guys who didn't get drafted going to be able to come back? Aiden O'Neill, Joe Sheridan. Like, I'm curious if there is a team that's going to sneaky be good next year that we're not thinking about because of this rule.
I totally agree. Aiden, I want to know this. Aiden O'Neill being on protected rosters.
Yeah.
Like, does that count? Which I don't know.
It should count if you've touched the field. Like, if you haven't suited up, I think you're good. It doesn't matter, in my opinion, at least.
Is a coach going to have to, cut his players to open up roster spots for these people?
Well, that's part of the
thing, too. That's what I was just thinking about, too. Mitch. It's like, who's getting shafted the most? Is it the high schoolers that now these college coaches are going to take less in the recruiting class because they have to benefit for the older guys plus transfers? Or is it these guys that graduated but then technically still have another year? I don't know.
I'm sure there's a bunch of. I'm sure that there's a bunch of a bunch of rosters probably have 1 to 2 roster spots available for situations like this. Probably even more, given the day and age of college lacrosse. But it definitely.
I mean, you look at what Coach Myers did, Hoagie, right? With the freshman class, like maybe he was onto something in the aspect of making room because he saw the light at the end of the tunnel of just getting past.
Let's call it how it is next? Too, though. Like, let's just say that the guys, this whole thing gets passed, and they make somehow an exception that it doesn't matter for lacrosse if you played pro or not. And the Ohio State defense next year is Cullen Brown, Bobby Van Buren, Big Tasty. You add Blake Island there, and then you just got Patrick Pisano from Yale. I mean, that's a disgusting level defense that you have right there. I do think, though, Mitch, that your point of the cutting issue is going to be a problem because part of the injunction that Syracuse was fighting for, allegedly, with the 5 players is Gary Gate assured that they wouldn't be taking a roster spot away from an incoming freshman. So that is something that will deter stuff being passed at a local level. So, like, Mitch, if they have to, in order for Joey and those 5 guys to come back, if Syracuse would have to cut 5 incoming freshmen, the judge is not going to grant that eligibility, right? The only way they would judge is if it doesn't impact anything on the team.
Can just be like,
other than
hey,
letting
you
those
guys have
play.
to you can't take a red shirt year anymore, right?
No red shirts.
Yeah, so I was gonna say maybe Gate makes those freshmen red shirt, but that's not even an option. So I don't really know what he would
And
do.
now with the age stuff, Mitch, you can't tell guys to reclass and take another year because now with the age-based eligibility on that too, the longer they're in high school, sometimes the less they'll be in college. It's not like the old days where you can tell a kid, hey, our 2019 class is kind of full. Can you be a 2020? You know, that used to work back in the day. Nowadays, that reclass stuff in high school is not going to be working as much. So I'm in favor of the class of 2022 playing and getting the extra year. I think the NCAA, when they put the 5-on-5 in, should have just given the 2022 guys the extra year right off the bat. It would have avoided all this drama. They were on the team this year. To me, I look at a great example, a guy like Cullen Brown, who played 4 years at Ohio State in the PLL. He doesn't get an extra year to come back this year, but Bobby Van Buren, who was a junior when he stepped foot on campus as a freshman, is still on the team because he got injured. Cullen, if I'm Cullen, I would have been like, I would have rolled my ankle in week 8. I could have came back for a 5th year. So why is Cullen getting screwed out of that, but other guys aren't? I think someone's always going to get screwed in this. It's how it worked during COVID. It's
life.
It's life. But
I think
they should have just let the 2022 class be a part of this 5-5 thing, put it to bed.
They just have to be like, look, some classes
Could Bobby
get
Van Buren
shafted.
be fucked by
Enjoy.
Sorry, I didn't mean to curse. Could Bobby Van Buren be screwed by this ruling?
I don't know
Which
how
one?
that works, but that's a good point.
Like, if the 2022 class gets deemed eligible for whatever reason, like, could Bobby Van Buren, given that when do you graduate high school?
2021.
So is it 5 years past or whatever?
Yeah.
In
But I think
2027?
the reason he was eligible even before 5-5 is technically he wouldn't be eligible, but he was already granted that extra year prior to the 5-5
Grandfathered
going
in.
into effect, so they have to grandfather it.
You think he's grandfathered in?
Yes, because of that.
Okay.
But it is, I mean,
Cool.
you're Cullen Brown, you're like, dude, I played 4 years here. Bobby was a junior when my first day of class at Ohio State. I'm already out, and he's still playing. What's going on? Like, you know what I mean? He's like, where's my 5th year? Which I totally understand.
Everyone's asking where their 5th year is. You guys see the Matt Rambo tweet? It's like, do I get a 5th year?
Legend.
Need answers. Tagging Coach Tillman. I saw multiple players saying that, but it got me wondering if you could give a magic 5th year to anyone out there, player, past, present, just to come back and just to watch them play college lacrosse again, who would you pick?
Okay. Is this today? Like Lyle Thompson, like 31 years old?
Yeah, let's do it like that. Yeah, so it's Lyle Thompson, 31 years old.
That was my pick, was Lyle. I picked Lyle. I was like,
Yeah,
Lyle's
but would
still
that
suited
change
up in
now?
the indoor game. Lyle apparently was playing at Placid this past weekend.
He was.
So the cleats aren't totally hung for Lyle yet. Imagine seeing Lyle in that offense, last season, or if Silas Richmond somehow came back, Lyle and Silas on an attack line at Albany. I mean, oh my God, that would be so much fun just to see him suit up one more time. Just a legend of a game, honestly, a legend of me growing up in the sport.
Pat
Dylan Malloy
Spencer.
back at Brown would be fun.
Pat Spencer.
Dylan Malloy at Brown.
Honestly, I'd love to see like Sowers with this
Princeton
new
team.
Princeton regime.
Yeah, good
I was
answer.
gonna say I was trying to think of a guy that would help or not help, but ultimately
was
come
gonna
back
say
to a
CJ.
team that's legit. I like the Sowers take.
With the new Princeton, because he kind of built the foundation of Princeton, but now like where they are like nationally now again, like that's fun. Like next.
Would
to
you want to
Kabiri.
see, what about Dauber going to like an ACC program in the portal like he was considering before he went to the PLL?
He didn't even want his 5th year then. There's no way he wants it now.
No, I'm not saying they want it, but I'm just saying guys we'd want to see in college. I think that would be fun to see Dauber on Carolina this year. That's the
That'd
one
be
piece.
sick.
Carolina, the goalie, is the
Right.
big question mark. Imagine Dauber's
Yeah.
like, screw it, I'm going to Carolina.
You know what would be fun?
Duke should be like Dauber would say.
I got
Freshy.
one. I got a random one. I think this is my answer. I want to see Jared Newman go back to Providence. Could you imagine that behemoth just hacking up a Big East freshman at like Marquette?
Oh my God, that'd be heinous.
Could you imagine that? Those hack checks that he's throwing.
Heinous.
Honestly,
I have a
just
question.
Give me another year of Wisnauskas at Maryland. That was the fun ass season to watch.
Who is? I don't want to say who's the worst defender, but do you think any PLL defender could walk in? Besides like guys like just graduate, do you think any PLL defender could just walk into college and win the Schmeiser? Like, do you think Jared Newman would win the Schmeiser?
Not if he's playing at Providence. Just no one would see it. No one would see him playing.
I would.
You would. You'd be the only one.
Yeah, and we got this platform. I would hype the trains. I think he was even like a second-team All-American at Providence.
Yeah, no, he's a legend.
Mitch, you know who I would add? Ryan Terefenko to our Trey LeClaire to our Ohio State offense to get some goals on that side of the ball next season. Could you imagine Trey back in the Buckeye offense, Mitch?
Okay, like that. This is going on. Like, do you think Trey LeClaire would win the Tewaaraton if he went back to Ohio State right now?
No.
Dude, I think he'd have so many.
Yeah, I agree because Ohio
But
State's like nationally relevant. But
oh my God,
I feel like if he went to like Notre Dame, like he probably would. If you went to Notre Dame,
The obsession with Dukes and Notre Dame, nobody will understand.
Yeah, we still have to solve that, Mitch.
I'm obsessed with the fact that they do belt to ass to you guys. Besides the 4 years that Hoagie won 2 meaningless regular season games and Mitch got freaking
we went 2-1
BS
against
goal.
them in our career, so they want to say it. We had a winning record over the
Roll
Irish.
the clip, baby. Roll the clip. Well,
Roll
obviously
Mitch's
this day
goal
and
against
age-
Entenmann. Mitch's goal against Entenmann.
Roll it.
Roll it. This day and age with NCAA, I felt like it's been Hoagie and I's entire lives. Our first year was COVID year. Then it hasn't stopped. Today, new rules just got placed last week. I guarantee you this continues to happen for a couple years. At the end of the day, it's going to come down to some class just getting shafted, the NCAA not opening up any more doors and saying this is college sports, and hopes for that day. But on some other news, can we get it up for the ladies, baby? Let's give it up for the ladies one time. Team USA won gold at the World Championship games in Japan. 11 different players scored in the 16-4 win over Canada. Sam Apuzzo led the way with 5 points, 3 goals, and 2 assists. Shea Dolce had 8 saves and was named player of the game. Allie Kennedy was named MVP of the entire tournament. On top of those stories, Team USA's roster was loaded with WLL stars like Lizzie Skane, Bridgie Duffin, Ali Mastriani, Emma Lapunto, Marie McCool, Kenzie Kent, and a few other names. Obviously, that's what WLL stars do. They continue at the world stage. Meanwhile, Canada had almost no WLL talent. I mean, USA didn't even have their best player, Charlotte North, and still beat Canada by 12 goals. Kev, I want to start with you. It's awesome to see USA win, but it doesn't feel like the women have the same rivalry that the men do versus Canada. Why is that?
I mean, it's just different talent levels. It's not the same rivalry, but we might have something better on the women's side, and that's Chloe Humphrey versus Madison Taylor. Chloe led USA with 24 points in this tournament. That was the second most in the entire tournament. Madison Taylor had 23 points, so right behind her, and Madison actually led the team in goals. Madison Taylor just kind of stole a national championship in a Tewaaraton away from Chloe Humphrey. Everyone that was maybe counting the chickens before they hatch, saying Chloe Humphrey's going to be the first 4-time Tewaaraton winner, first 4-time national champion. Madison Taylor kind of ruined that narrative. And now we talked about all these players, class of 2022, trying to go back to college. Is Madison Taylor one of them? Is she trying to go back to Northwestern? There's no report that she's joined one of these lawsuits, but she hasn't reported to the Palms or played in the WLL since being drafted number 1 overall. If she's planning on going back to Northwestern, and she might disrail another season of Chloe Humphrey. So Chloe and Madison are 2 of the best players on the world stage. they might both still be in college. And to me, that sets up an awesome rivalry heading into 2027 if she's at Northwestern. And even if she's not, I think the two of them are going to be compared throughout their pro careers whenever Chloe and Madison both arrive in the WLL. So Chloe versus Madison. Maybe it's the Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese effect for women's lacrosse. We'll see.
Dukes, if Madison Taylor winds up back at Northwestern, who is your favorite to win the Tewaaraton, her or Chloe?
Ooh. Why? Because she's
What'd you
from
say?
Long Island?
Wait, what'd you say?
Madison Taylor.
Give us your why. With authority and confidence, too.
I want to be careful. I think she's just the initiator more of the offense for Northwestern. There's no... Where Chloe, I think, is at her best as a finisher. I think it's kind of like the maybe... Let me try to do men's comp for people out there. I would compare Madison Taylor to CJ Kirst, and I would compare Chloe Humphrey to Joey Spallina.
Okay. Wow.
Wow.
Interesting.
That would be my men's comps, where it's not like bad, it's good, but just
different.
I think Madison could be like ball in the stick, go to the cage a little bit better than Chloe.
Yeah. Well,
Like
I don't know how they were quite breaking down
I can't unsee what Kev said earlier this season. Now in one of the first episodes, where it wasn't like was Chloe Humphrey like an Ashley Humphrey merchant, but like I do think that like Ashley did a lot more than we think for that UNC offense alongside Chloe. Like Chloe got all the hype because of the goals, but it wasn't so much initiating the offense. That's how I understand it. That's when I watch. Obviously, I'm not a 162er of UNC lacrosse, but from what I watch, that's kind of what I see. So,
She
yeah,
still
I'm a
had
Madison
109
Taylor
goals this year, didn't she, without Ashley?
She did. Yeah,
she did, but she
tied the
didn't
record.
win. Didn't win the national
Well, that
championship.
game was coming down to the natty. I mean, if you're telling me Chloe Humphrey the field next year, I'm taking Chloe Humphrey 100%. To me, the only way Madison Taylor wins it back-to-back next year is if Northwestern wins the national championship again. I think Chloe can win it with a national championship win. She probably has it locked down. And if anyone other than UNC or Northwestern wins, I think she has. I think Madison Taylor needs the national championship to win.
But Madison Taylor had the goals record the year before, didn't win the national championship, didn't win the Tewaaraton.
Because Chloe came out of nowhere and dominated that entire
Nuts on your
NCAA
face,
tournament.
Hoagie. Nuts on your face.
She dominated the whole NCAA tournament. That's what happened.
Who? No, of
Chloe.
course, but Madison Taylor dominated this NCAA tournament. I agree with the...
I just
It's just
personally,
Madison Taylor's
I
just
don't
as much
see
been-
Madison Taylor having better stats than Chloe Humphrey in terms of goals next year, either way. So what's going to carry Madison Taylor over is going to be the winning on the field. If she's going to win it.
I could see her
literally tied for
definitely-
the goal record.
Yeah, like I
I'm
could
saying
totally
on
see
points on the
Madison.
season last year.
You could make the argument, though, this is what makes the rivalry so fun. You could make the argument that Chloe should be a three-time, if she wins next year, three-time Tewaaraton winner. You could also make the same argument for Madison Taylor. Like, there's definitely people out there, I bet,
That is
in
fair,
women's
Dukes.
lacrosse
That is a fair
that think
point.
that she should have won instead of Chloe.
I think,
the year before?
the first year.
Yeah.
Chloe's
Yeah.
freshman year, there are people. I agree with that.
Flip-flopped.
Yeah. I just think there's no question if Madison Taylor does somehow end up back in Northwestern, which would be crazy, there's no question that she is the go-to playmaker on every single play. Like, Chloe Humphrey wasn't even the youngest player on this team. Her teammate, Eliza Osborne, was on this team as well, and she's nasty. And Kate Levy, like, there's just a lot of really, really good players on UNC. Not that there isn't on Northwestern, but I do think the ball's got to go all the way around. And Chloe, just by being more of an off-ball player, there's just going to be other players who are making plays as well. Whereas Northwestern, I just think it's the Madison Taylor show.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see. Obviously, World Championship wrapped up in Japan. It's pretty cool to see the girls get the gold. And WLL action returns this weekend in Boston. Now, the Maryland Charm are already in the WLL Championship. The California Palms can punch their ticket this weekend. So as long as they don't lose to the Boston Guard by more than 9 on Saturday, if that ends up happening, then the New York Charging would take their spot in the title game against the Charm, which, again, we said this last episode, all of us will be on site in Philly, so stay tuned for that. But Hoagie, I want to bounce to you. Who might be carrying some momentum from Team USA to the remainder of the WLL season?
It's got to be the Maryland Charm, right? They're the hottest team in the WLL, and they had an amazing tournament from the players who were on the Charm for Team USA. Allie Kennedy, she was MVP of the tournament. She had 16 points on the weekend. Sam Apuzzo, 5 points in the gold medal game, 20 points in the tournament overall. Honestly, my favorite new women's player to watch, Bridget Duffy, out of Army, has been unbelievable in the WLL this year. She was elite for Team USA, front runner for WL MVP potentially. I could maybe see it. You had Kaylee Waters, another gold medal on her resume. And the Charm, like you mentioned, Mitch, already clinched a spot in the WLL championship. So much of this Charm team's DNA was on this USA championship team. So a lot of the Charm players carrying USA to a championship will then ultimately carry the Charm to a championship in Philadelphia. We will see in a couple weeks. But yeah, after a tough champ series for the Maryland Charm, right, coming out of the winter, didn't even make the playoff round. They were the first team to be eliminated, to now being the best team in the outdoor field. This Charm team is on a hot streak right now. Can't wait to watch it unfold.
I'm going to give Kev credit, and I don't even know if he deserves it or if he said this, but it feels right. I'm fairly certain it was back in Champ Series when they were getting a lot of heat. Kev's like, watch out for this team on the field.
I don't know if I said that, but I will say, like, I was big on the Charm with their additions. I thought Allie Kennedy was a huge one.
Yeah.
She was an MVP of the Team 1, the USA box team that beat Canada. And it's also like, Mitch, you're talking about the disparity between USA and Canada on the women's side. If USA's beaten Canada in box as well, it's just not really a rivalry right now, to be frank. I thought Allie Kennedy was built for sixes. She was awesome. Didn't all come together. She's even better in this field format. So much speed. And Apuzzo was also a huge addition. Hoagie mentions Bridget Duffy, 3rd overall pick in this year's draft. You're seeing, like, they've had the best additions, I would say, since the first round when they first announced these teams 2 years ago.
I got a question for you, Kev.
Yeah, what's up?
For WLL for the future, we talk about Sean Byrne being an Army person, an issue moving forward, a building piece for him. What about Bridget Duffy on the WL side as an Army?
Same thing. I mean, I assume she has her, obligations, military obligations. She's been super fun to watch this year. But yeah, I would be concerned building my team around her because I don't know if she's going to be here next year, which is crazy because I think she's got like 200 touches. So if you're a Charm player, maybe you're excited because you're going to get the ball more.
Who is the best woman lacrosse player in the world right now?
I think there's so much debate, especially with Charlotte North being hurt right now. But Dukes, I thought about writing this into the script, but if you were just to flip it, who do you think are the 5 faces of the sport on the women's side right now?
Wow. Ooh. That's so tough because I don't even think it's going to include the best players.
It might not. I mean, you would have to say Charlotte and Chloe.
I think Ali Mastriani is one of the faces.
Yep.
I don't know.
Mitch, what do you think?
Over Madison Taylor right now?
I think it's Chloe,
Yes.
Charlotte. I think it's Izzy and Madison. And then I think I'd put Allie in there.
Ali Mastriani would be the 5th.
I think she's definitely one of the faces.
I do too.
Maybe she's not a top 5 actual player that you'd want in the world, but in terms of, like, we're talking face of the league, I don't see how you can't have Ali Mastriani in the top 5.
I think Shea Dolce would be if you could see her face. If she plays behind a helmet, so you don't really see her face much.
Yeah, like I was gonna go. That's a good one. I mean, some random ones that like I thought could, like a Harris Chuck, I thought could potentially get, like, just from her.
I don't think so. Just her.
Hold on. Just from a WL perspective, like, are we going?
What about Duchette?
Right, we're going sport.
No, the sport.
Right.
The sport.
No, I totally, from the WLL perspective, like faces of the league.
Yeah.
That's where I'm like, Harris Chuck, like, has anybody, like, I feel like she's gotten talked about more in the WL than like anybody else almost. Not like actually, but like for
She does. I mean, winning that first ever Golden Stick, she was like the star of the WLL the first season.
Fastest shot this year.
Fastest shot, yeah.
Charlotte was out. Fastest shot.
I mean, my top 3 on the women's side is Charlotte, Izzy, Mastriani. I think that's the triple header of faces of the WLL, in my opinion. Of the people I see the most, players' jerseys, you want to talk about like ads, all that type of stuff. Like when I think of the WLL, what 3 players come to mind? It's Mastriani, it's Skane, it's Charlotte North.
Yeah.
And then you throw in Chloe and Madison
for college, and overall lacrosse. Yeah.
All right. I won't fight you there.
Yeah.
Who's someone that you could think we could enter this conversation next year?
Emma Lapinto. Emma Lapinto is probably the most athletic. I mean, she is so good for Team USA, played basketball at Boston College. I actually think you got to remember, she's got, I think, maybe 16 points in WLL season right now. The leaders are Bridget Duffy and Rachel Clark, both with 20 points, I believe, on the season. So Rachel Clark's going to play again this weekend. But if Emma Lapinto goes off, she's got an MVP case.
Yep. She's legit.
Long Island.
Shifty. Two-sport. Was at Florida, transferred to BC, obviously made a name for herself. Like I mentioned, we're excited to be on Philly in a couple weeks. If you're there, say what's up to us. But in some other interesting topics, what about some more international lacrosse with the Global Lacrosse Games? Last week, the PLL and WLL announced the Lexus Global Lacrosse Games. It's basically the NHL, 4 nations face-off, but for lacrosse. They're going to use the Olympic Sixes rules, and they'll play the tournament over 6 days in December in Washington, D.C. Is that correct, Kev?
I believe so. I think it's still at St. James.
Yes, it's back at the St. James, taking place for the Champ Series. I think this is one of the coolest things that we've seen in the sport of lacrosse. We're obviously big fans of the Champ Series. Something more like this to add to the resume of the sport in a year-long calendar, I love. And also, the NLL is co-promoting it. Kind of talk to us, Kev, from your side before we hop into Dukes, how the NLL is involved in the Lexus Global Lacrosse Games.
So they're just co-promoting it, which means they're going to agree to pause their season for the 6 days that this tournament goes on, which means for the first time ever, we're going to get all those guys that are typically tied up with the NLL season that don't play in Champ Series. They're going to be available to play in this. So we should get the best players in the world, which is super exciting.
It's going to be so cool seeing guys that we haven't seen before because of the NLL obligation. Dukes, what do you overall think about the NLL and PLL teaming up here?
Yeah, I think it's great. Obviously, when you get 2 of the obviously biggest lacrosse leagues working together for the betterment of the sport, I think that's awesome. I'm excited to see what the box community on Twitter gets mad about now. I know that they probably just had a stroke that we said the word NLL. So, look, I think it's going to be great. I'm excited to see, for one, what the 4 nations are. I mean, I think we can obviously think it's going to be USA, Canada. So who's going to fill in the 2 other slots? I don't know. Who do you guys think deserves it? Just, I guess I'll ask right now.
I mean, it's got to be
Hoagie, I want to start with you
Canada,
there. That was
for sure. I think, to me,
who are the other 2, though?
I would love to see the Haudenosaunee involved in this. To me, you don't talk about the history of lacrosse without the Haudenosaunee. I know there's the whole thing of if they're allowed in the Olympics or so on and so forth. I'd love to see them compete. If we're not talking about them, to me, Japan, first and foremost, has to be towards the top. We've seen the PLL go there year after year and had a ton of success there. We saw Shunito on training camp this year, playing for the Redwoods and the Whipsnakes. And then, obviously, if you watch this women's run for the USA to a gold medal in Tokyo, Japan, someone posted on Twitter this morning a picture of the stands for the gold medal matches that happened earlier in the morning. Unbelievable crowd there. Japan loves the sport of lacrosse, so I feel like in terms of keep growing that game globally, we got to have Japan in there. And then some other teams, Australia, I know they were a team who finished, I believe, 3rd or 4th at the last World Games. England creeping up, so a lot of different countries. We'll see how that all shapes out. I don't know how the rosters will work with how it's going to work with sixes. Mitch, we played Team England, if you remember, back at Ohio State. When we were in college, we scrimmaged them. Bunch of hacks.
Hacked up. I got hacked up. We went to Portugal for our freshman year trip. You know, how every college team does this now every 4 years. They take an international trip. And I think the rule actually is in order to take an international trip with your team, you have to play to make it sure it's like a competition. So we had to play Team England. Hoagie and I are freshly 18 years old. haven't even moved into our dorm room, and we're in Portugal playing Team England. The guy that is guarding me on attack,
45.
I think he was in his 40s, and I am just. I'm nervous, and I got hacked up, and I was like, wow, this is going to be a sick 4 years. And
that was literally, Mitch,
that was my welcome to the league moment.
Our first welcome to college lacrosse. That was the first competitive thing we ever played at Ohio State. We showed up August 7th, had a literal helmets and gloves. They literally walk in the equipment room, here's your helmet, here's your gloves. Like, go out to the field. We had like a helmets and glove catch. Pack your bags. That night, we're on the plane to Portugal. We land in Portugal, have like 4 hours, get some lunch. Bang, right to a scrimmage with Team England. Like, fresh out of the womb lacrosse for us in D1 right there, playing Team England, Mitch getting hacked up.
Yeah, it was brutal. It was brutal.
I'm excited, though, for this tournament, given the NLL players, like some of these NLL guys that, like, we don't know or
you don't even know
not
their
so
name.
familiar with, that haven't played in the PLL, because obviously there's some hidden gems in the box game in general. But, yeah, the 4 teams, what I would like to see is, I would like the Haudenosaunee, which will be interesting. They probably won't be in the Olympics, realistically. Like, that's not what I think. It's probably just the reality of the situation.
Yeah.
So, do you throw them a bone?
And do you want to break that down for the audience real quick? Because if I'm an outsider, I'm like, how are they not in the Olympics?
I'm gonna get canceled over something that I said here wrong. So, yeah, thanks, Mitch.
Kev, do you know this?
They're not a country technically, and you have to be a country in the eyes of the International Olympic Committee.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
Now
That's good. Not canceled. Move on.
I'm not canceling you. We're deep into podcasts. You're safe in this space here. We're deep on the internet right now. But anyway, no, I think same situation. I would love to see them play. I have no idea if they will. And then I agree with Hoagie's other 2 teams, Japan and Australia, like one of those 2. The only other option I've seen people float around online is what if they did like best of the world for the 4th team.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The NBA's done that, right? With some All-Star games or some type of
Like
event
World
where it's
versus
like
USA.
World versus USA, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think Japan makes the most sense with the investment the PLL has made. How good they are. I mean, we saw the Shunito, right? The Japan goalie go off when the PLL All-Stars went over there. He signed with the Whipsnakes. He hasn't dressed, but there's some good players out there. So I'm excited for the world to get introduced, for the first time before the Olympics to these players.
And
then Australia,
guys.
from an Olympic standpoint, Australia's hosting in 2032. So do you want to
Yeah, you got to have
get
that, I
into-
feel like.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
publicity stunt.
You got to massage the back a little bit.
Throw him
Yep.
a bone, Mitch.
Yep. Throw him a bone. Kev, I want to come back to you here. Feels like, I hate to say it, but Canada's probably the front runner heading into 28, just with what we've seen at Atlas Cup and other events. Give us your Sixes lock of a roster for Team USA to dominate Canada. Who you got?
I don't know if any combination of Americans can dominate Canadians in Sixes. It hasn't been close any time. But if I had to make a roster that could hang with Canada, and again, this is Olympic Sixes rules they're going to be playing at the Global Lacrosse Games, which means no 2-point line and no contact. So it's going to be a lot of finesse, in tight goals. I want heavy box influence on my Team USA roster as opposed to a bunch of two-way meatheads. I want them too, but I want skilled, highly skilled technicians on this team. So honestly, my first pick might be Joey Spallina. So I think he is potentially the best American box player. He's, I think, going to be the number 1 pick in the NLL draft this year. CJ Kirst would be another pick of mine. He was number 1 in the NLL draft last year, just coming off a Rookie of the Year campaign championship with the Toronto Rock, obviously killing it in the field game as well. So those are 2 super locks in my opinion. Then I'm going to go with Jack Hanna for my third. I think maybe underrated in the field sense. We haven't seen him a ton in Sixes. He's very good in the NLL. I like him as a righty. I don't think you can have a roster, an American roster, without Pat Cavanaugh on it. There's just too much red-blooded Americanism coursing through his veins. guy who's gritty enough that won't be a liability on defense, but can be dynamic spark plug on offense. The Kavanaugh ride translates to sixes. And then my two-way meathead, I'm going with Aiden McGuire. Need him on the team. He's kind of developed into the most dynamic two-way midfielder in the league right now, not named Zach Currier. And then finally, I'll throw in a goalie. I'm going to go with Liam Entenmann. Just when it comes to sixes, haven't seen a ton of Blaze. Brett Dobson, obviously a Canadian. He's going to be playing against the Americans. And then McNaney, Kirst. There are other guys who we've seen a lot in sixes. I don't know if I trust them as much as I trust Entenmann. So that would be my top six. Spallina, Kirst, Hannah, Pat Kavanaugh, Aiden McGuire, Liam Entenmann as locks against Canada. And then one guy I think we got to get to the bottom of his nationality is Connor Fields. He's played with Canada on the international stage before, but he would be an enormous benefit for the American team because he's a former NLL MVP, top scorer every year. If Connor Fields is an American for this, I want him on the roster.
Yep.
Interesting.
Interesting.
Okay.
I would have went.
Interesting.
I like the. I pretty much.
I'm
agree.
interested because I think we've all been on the train. We've also heard other people say. I think Brooksy might have said this too. Going to be very short stick D midi heavy. Like I know you only have Aiden McGuire on here as your short stick D midi. Why did you land more towards the American box players than more of like the two-way midfielders?
Well, I mean, all respect to Stephen Brooks and the American coaches that have tried to field rosters against Canada. What seems to be the cheat code is a Jeff T. Or those guys who know how to play two-man offense. I said earlier in this episode, like Coulter Mackesy is really unique from an American perspective, the way he understands and capitalizes on the two-man game. I need Americans who know how to play two-man games above the net and also not necessarily needing to stretch the field, can make the tight passes, can make tight catch and finish in front of the net because there's no advantage to shooting from the outside in Olympic sixes.
Yep.
I
like that, Coach Kevin.
agree with your thinking. I disagree with the tactics because if I'm playing Canada and I'm the GM, I'm not going to try to out Canada.
Okay, that's also a fair.
I like
fair
that.
thought.
I like
Like,
that.
if
Kevin
if you
McDougal.
think that that's the most successful way to do sixes, it's like, okay, then we have to think of a way to like combat that. So
Do
I
it
do
better.
think the short stick D midi approach, like out at Bo Pedersen, someone that I do like or on paper, and I got to put my hand up really quick. Big sixes guy. I had no idea there was no contact.
That's on me.
Because
TLN, we got to post that more.
I've been watching PLL sixes too much.
Yeah,
So
definitely a big difference.
Chris
Wait, what do you mean
Cav
there's
is
no
someone-
contact?
There's in Olympic sixes, there's no hitting.
You can just,
You
you
can
can just check. And
You
that's
can
it.
stick check, but
Yes.
you can't body
can't-
check. There's no body checking in
Wow.
Olympic sixes.
Like no hard slides.
We'll see what they let go in the Global Lacrosse
right.
Games,
Yeah.
but I'm just telling you what Olympic sixes, when it's played at the Atlas Cup where you were at, Mitch, like, dude, they called that game super tight. I remember Piper Bond was just like bumping into guys and they were calling them for 2-minute penalties.
Yep.
Like I think Chris Cav is someone that I've been eyeing for that roster, who's
I
just
100%
like
agree.
so good mid range and just so lethal.
I also don't know how you can have Pat Kavanaugh on the roster and not Chris Kavanaugh.
100%.
They're just like amplifiers for each other. In a Team USA uniform, that honestly might be enough to beat Canada.
I'm happy you're saying this because this is my take on it. Like, this is so big for lacrosse. It goes bigger than even just winning. It's getting lacrosse out there. And, I mean, you see even with hockey, not to say like hockey wasn't way above lacrosse at this point, but, like, the Hughes brothers,
Yes.
the Kachuk brothers, like, you got it. Even if you don't think that Pat and Chris Cav, like, were good enough to be on the roster, there's people above them, like, I'm willing to say it's worth it to have them on.
I 100% agree. We're talking like the growth of the sport
Yeah,
too. Like,
yeah.
say I don't
First
even know
Olympics, like,
lacrosse.
you gotta
I just
have
love
them.
Olympics. Like, if the USA takes gold and Pat and Chris Cav have a Hughes moment with no teeth and the gold medal around his teeth, like that thing's gonna be circulating all over. Be like, who is this? These lacrosse brothers. This is awesome. That's a story that could take over the country and keep growing our sport. So yeah, I mean, I agree. Both Kavanaghs have to be on the Olympic team.
Every night since that Jack Hughes bloody toothless interview happened, Pat Kavanaugh has gone to bed dreaming of being the Jack Hughes of lacrosse.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
I got one more question on this topic before moving on. Who's the best player on the American side that won't be on the Sixers roster? That people will be mind blown by. And give me
Michael
a hot
Sowers.
Do you see the name on my list I have question marks next to?
take. No, I'm not.
Brendan
Oh,
O'Neill.
I see it.
Brendan O'Neill.
Brendan O'Neill.
And how do you not have Brendan O'Neill considering the last big stage United States played
And
Canada
Kev, are
on?
you just saying that because of the play style?
I'm saying that because I know this kind of contradicts what I've said. Just because Brendan O'Neill has done well in the NLL, I think that has more to do with him being just a physical freak of nature as opposed to him dominating and understanding like NLL two-man games and stuff. Brendan O'Neill to me is like, I don't know. If we're talking and projecting ahead to 2028 in sixes where I've really not seen him play, I can imagine it looks good. But I don't know. I don't know if Brendan O'Neill would be a lock for my roster.
Crazy
think
take.
Sowers,
It
Mitch?
might be hot. I was gonna say Blaze.
Blaze is another one.
Who would be the second goalie?
But Blaze is the tough part because it's like,
Because like
are
Blaze
you-
has to be on it
it's-
in my opinion, but I don't know. We'll see in 2 years from now. Is he still a top 2 goalie in the world?
Well, what about Blaze? I know we talked about this sometimes, but like Blaze also being able to play the field, and if Kev's the GM, Blaze is a field box player. Box player that plays.
Yeah, like
outside the goal.
could as a backup goalie, is he allowed to? In Champ Series, you're not allowed to do that, but in the Olympics, it has happened. Like
Yeah,
Adam Gittleman did it in 2022,
That
played
roster
in the
was so
field.
bad.
It was, yeah. I would not like. We look at that roster and the
Yeah.
Canadian team that beat it. I think it's different. Also, it's different whether we're talking about 2028 or we're talking about a roster the league is putting together for this specific event
Yeah.
this December. I think Brendan O'Neill is definitely on that roster. There's no way
I was talking
the PLL
2028.
keeps him off it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of went down that road. But if we're talking about a global games that's put on by the league this year, there is no way Brendan O'Neill is not on that roster.
yeah.
And Mitch, you said Sowers.
Yeah. I mean, just of what year he's having this year, but ultimately it's going to come down. I know it's going to happen like this. Someone's going to have a sick year going into 2028, and they're going to be like, how is he not on it? And it's more of the timing. And to Hoagie's point, like the Blaze aspect, peaking at the right time for something like this is massive. Blaze, in his age, and maybe he can still play at the top in 2 years, but ultimately, like, I feel like some of the best people to play at the best time to get invited to something like this is honestly the year we graduated. The Schellenbergers, the Pat Cats,
Yeah.
the Entenmans. They're playing their best lacrosse when they need to be their names to get called.
Maybe it's Brendan Millen then.
Yeah.
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 So is your
Well, he-
example like a Shane Knobloch? Like, say the Olympics were right at a Champ Series. Like, everyone's like, how is Shane Knobloch not on the USA team? But like, I don't know if he'll be on the USA team in 2028. I don't think so. I'd say
PLL
not.
champs, PLL sixes versus USA sixes, Olympic sixes is so different the way that you construct the roster. Like Shane
Oh,
Knobloch.
for sure. I'm just saying the narrative wise.
Shane
like,
Knobloch
people-
a lock if you got a 2-point line.
Yeah.
The one thing I'll say, the one thing I want to go because I know we got to wrap up quick is like Michael Sowers one. I just having him with a shorty on him for an entire sixes format is very much intrigues me, and I think he dominates for someone that is a quarterback that hides behind X. I actually think he's most effective from up top, and I think that like last year even the numbers supported that from the top left wing.
Yeah, but then does it worry you that he can get caught on defense with a shorty dodging him?
For sure. Yeah. I mean that's why like there's such a debate about it.
And that's actually honestly probably what USA needs to do better to close the gap on Canada. It's not necessarily the personnel. Canada's just so much used to that subbing from NLL, getting those guys
I
on and
really-
off and attacking in transition.
I would literally call Brian Cavanaugh to run the box for Team USA.
Yeah.
He's the best person in the PLL to do it.
Or they can
that's
just get
exciting.
Rambo.
Or then get one of us. Our hats are always.
Rambo's training for 2028 now that he's off the Atlas. He's ready to go, man.
Yeah. Yeah, we've seen some.
We're trying to get Rambo for War at the
videos.
Shore next year, Mitch.
I saw that there's no 2-point line for the Four Nations, right?
Right, correct.
That sucks because I'll
I
end
think
it with
selfishly for the country, it's good.
this.
Yeah.
Right. I wanted the 2-point line for this because if
Stick it
we
to
win,
Canada.
if
Yeah.
we win
Yeah.
and then we lose in 2028, we have the built-in excuse like, hey, get the 2-point line.
Yeah.
You
Let's
big
really
old-
jack
yeah,
this thing
yeah,
up.
Yeah. Oh, you guys won asterisks.
Yeah, asterisk.
We couldn't even hit you.
gosh. Well, a lot of fun things to come. Obviously, Olympics is super excited, but I'm glad the PLL and NLL are really working together here to create the Lexus Global Lacrosse Games. But the way we always do, we got to finish out the episode with a little ball knower. Get the bald man in here. Let's see if he's got a beard or he shaved it. Whoa, Panthers guy.
Huge Panthers guy.
Are you just finding that
Mitch,
out?
you're not going to
or-
have him remove the hat, Mitch?
No, let's see it. Well, I was just going to tackle first. Bang.
Yeah.
Looks good. Looks really good. Looks really good. You moisturizing that thing recently?
No, dude. What a crazy question.
Ball knower. I think we can skip the stats on this one. Just get ready
Why?
to the question if you guys are good.
Yeah, why?
I just feel like we say it a lot.
Mitch,
Yeah, no, we'll
Duke
get
threw
into
you a
stats.
bone last week, and you didn't take advantage of it. You got to 4. I told you to name
I
10
know.
players.
Ryan Brown. Our brownie.
So we have Hoagie at the top, and he's our recent winner, 7 points. Dukes and Kevin are tied in second with 6 each. Mitchell Pehlke is in third with 2.
Kev, didn't you win last week?
Yeah, Kevin.
Yeah, that's from last week. I'm tied with Hoagie at
Kevin
7.
and I have 7. Kev won last week. Yeah.
Okay, got it. Let's do this then.
Let's
Feel
do a
really
recount.
good.
Let's
Feeling
get a
really good.
fan. Let's
Man,
get a
how
fan.
many do you have,
to
two?
go to every episode.
Avery Gaming.
Avery Games.
You'll be the front runner for
legend.
the Pelkster of the year.
Tiebreaker for first if Kevin Boylard or James gets this.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Corrected. Mitchell is still in last, so everybody's clear.
I'm coming back. Stay tuned.
Is there enough weeks left for you to come back?
Nah.
Yeah, we're gonna have a couple money ball questions in there for 2 points.
Yeah, we did that
STX
last
Sam.
year.
All right,
That's
you boys
exciting.
ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. The question is, TD Erlin moved into 8th place all-time in ground balls this weekend. Who did he pass?
Anthony Kelly.
Bingo. Nailed.
How do you know the
Nailed.
7th or the 8th
No,
or the
because
9th?
Mitch, if you've noticed, which is why you're at the bottom at 2 and ball knower, the question usually correlates to something that happened in the weekend. So
Why'd you tell him?
Yeah, the key
Yeah,
to
but
ball
it
knower
could've-
is understanding narratives. you
yes,
know?
Yeah. Zach
I
Harry
think
is
Duke,
the narrative
Kev,
builder.
we were all aligned on that
Yeah.
the whole season, kind of thing.
Yeah. It's not like Dukes went into this episode reciting the ground ball leaders. Okay, Anthony Kelly is in 7th place. I know that. Yeah.
For the
This is
fans at
terrible.
home, we now have a 3-way tie for first.
Wow.
Next
Dukes
and
and
technically
Kevin,
next
all at
week's
7.
episode and next
Oh,
week's
wait,
ball
we
knower is
forgot
gonna be worth
something.
5
We forgot
points, making a
something.
What did we
4-way
forget?
tie.
We forgot something. Fantasy.
Oh,
No,
we
it's
can't.
not yet.
We didn't forget. This
The
weekend's not
games-
over, dudes.
Shh, my weekend's over because I get to watch lacrosse and I'm done podcasting.
Okay. All right.
I love that. Well, we will see you guys next Tuesday. Subscribe to TLN on YouTube. Follow us on the pod. Follow us on Instagram, lacrosse.show. And Kevin, end the fans with a fun fact.
Fun fact, I got to meet the Glove Gate guy at War at the Shore. It was amazing. It was like meeting a celebrity. What was his name?
Matt Fritz.
Matt Fritz.
I'm
Matt
sorry.
Fritz.
I
Shout out
shook
to
his
you.
hand. I said, thank you for the most viral content that TLN has ever seen.
Well, the funny part about that is we played an overtime game the game before, and I literally turned to Mitch on the sideline. I go, only overtime game we ever played in our lacrosse career was the Glove Gate Maryland game. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, this is intense like that. And then I told Kev about that. And then immediately after the game, we're walking over, and Fritz appears. I didn't even know he was there, Mitch.
he told me also he's selling the gloves on sideline
Selling
swap.
the gloves.
Yeah, he did,
Selling
yeah.
the gloves. Glove
Dude.
Gate. You guys
That's a
can get it on
TLN
the
post
screen
right there,
now.
Kev, when those go
It
live.
is, yeah.
Gosh,
How much do you
over
think you could get out of
$1,000.
those, realistically?
A 1,000.
dude.
You think 1,000?
I think it's
Some
1,000.
sicko.
Some lax rat.
Is
by
that
name
the
of
most
James Hogan
iconic
IV.
piece of lacrosse memorabilia in recent memory? Yes or no?
Maybe Garrett Ledman's cleat.
Yeah. And on that note, we will see you next Tuesday. Peace.